Chapter 786. Protecting the West alone in the blood-tied forest. Everyone felt unsafe. They sensed that the current forest was different from what they had known before. This place was very stable before. It was calm and not too terrifying. Even if there was something, it was easily avoidable. It was different now. There were many threats. The anomalies that only happened at night were now visible in the day. The beasts that only emerged at night before were rampant in the daytime. They didn't even know how to evade them, especially since they emitted an eerie aura as if they would devour everything around them. The most frightening part was that they couldn't escape, no matter how many times they tried. Among those who were most distressed were Xiao Li and her 3 companions. "Why can't we find any food lately?" Xiao Li pouted and patted her stomach. The woman in white, Bai Shuang, looked at the girl before her and felt horrified. Update on Biomicron XROVL. Siomicron M. During this time, Xiao Li had been intimidating everyone. Anyone who provoked her ended up dead with a single punch. Yet she seemed unaware of it. She wondered why people fled when they saw her. When a blue light emanated from her, she was unstoppable. If she got angry, the consequences were severe. But when she wasn't angry, she was easy to talk to. She would listen intently to their suggestions, except when it came to destroying the cannibalistic forest. Because of the disappearance of that forest, things changed. The ecosystem was broken. It seemed like something was about to emerge from the ground. They sensed it. The terrifying aura made them collapse to the ground in fear. But when Xiao Li muttered something toward the ground, that thing retreated. It seemed afraid to offend her. They increasingly felt that a little devil who feared neither heaven nor earth had arrived. "Shall we change places and go find my senior brother?" Xiao Li suddenly asked. "Leave from here." Bai Shuang hesitated. "Where should we go?" Xiao Li pointed in a direction. "Over there. We can ask as we go. If they know the beast, then they are friendly. If not, they're not friends, and we do not need to respect them." The 3 were speechless. Who was this beast? They dare not ask, but soon someone did. After they set off, they met someone who asked who the beast was. Xiao Li said, "A great demon of heaven and earth, a chaotic powerhouse." Only then did the other person understand why Xiao Li could act so recklessly. It turned out she had the support of a great demon of heaven and earth. Fortunately, she looked like a child, so as long as they were nice to her, there wouldn't be a problem. So, they said they knew the beast she spoke of. As friends, they naturally gave her directions. "The Golden Core area is around that way," said a man, and pointed toward Moon Lake. "It's usually near Moon Lake." Xiao Li politely thanked them and continued with Bai Shuang and the others. She was very excited. As long as she found senior brother Taiyang, she wouldn't have to worry about starving. After much effort, the few who were already on the edge finally left the blood-tied forest. The moment Xiao Li left, the forest seemed to relax. Soon, the eerie aura gradually diminished. Looking back at the blood-tied forest, the 3 couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. They felt that the forest was much more dangerous than the Golden Core area. Of course, the danger was solely because of Jiang Xiao Li. Wherever Xiao Li went, danger followed. They were curious whether Jiang Xiao Li's senior brother could handle it. A Golden Core realm cultivator probably couldn't. The 3 exchanged doubtful glances. They felt like they were walking a path of no return. Once they did, it would be difficult to return to their area. Without Jiang Xiao Li, they couldn't move an inch. At midnight, Jiang Hao activated the yin-yang bracelet. He simultaneously activated the heavenly cauldron. Then, he entered the stone tablet. When he arrived, the others were already in position. After exchanging greetings with Senior Dan Yuan, the 5 of them sat cross-legged on the floor. "Any issues with your cultivation?" No one spoke. Their cultivation progress wasn't that rapid. "Any news about the Saints' pages?" Dan Yuan asked. "I heard they're at the Thousand Spirit Lake in the west, but many have gone there with no results," Zhang said. Members from the Bright Moon sect seemed to be searching for the pages as well. They cast a divination and found that these pages are extremely unique, challenging to detect, and even more challenging to comprehend. All they know is that the pages have surfaced, but they're unsure of what exactly it is or whether someone has acquired them. Xing said. He had examined the pages and found discrepancies. The pages seemed quite extraordinary. There's some information from overseas, too. Rumor has it that there have been changes in the Abyssal Sea. People from the Heavenly Tower suggest that the pages might be there, Lu said. There's no information from the southern region. Gui shook her head. Many things existed in the south, yet remained the region with the least information available. Jiang Hao remained silent. The others looked at him. However, he didn't speak. So, everyone paid him no further attention. These ancient pages seem to be somewhat different this time. They deserve some attention, Dan Yuan said. The others nodded. It appeared that these ancient pages were indeed unique. After Senior Dan Yuan finished discussing the new tasks, it was time for the group to exchange information. I'm still interested in the location of that person, Zhang said. Is the person more important or the book? Jiang Hao asked. His voice was low. The book is more important, but without finding that person, we won't get the book, Zhang said firmly. I have the book, Jiang Hao said. Zhang was surprised, but didn't question him, because Jing was the sort of person who had made the Astronomical Academy obey his suggestions with just a few words. Can I know the content of the book? Zhang asked. Sure. Jiang Hao nodded. He then looked at Senior Dan Yuan. Soon, a stone tablet appeared before them. Jiang Hao left all the content of the ancient and modern book on it, including the final sentence. After she finished reading it, Zhang was shocked. This wasn't the same ancient and modern book she had read, but she knew that this book was definitely not fake. This one seemed more important, perhaps even authentic. She was excited. If she obtained the genuine one, the rewards would be unimaginable. She hesitated. What price do I need to pay? Ensure the safety and well-being of someone in the Western region, at least temporarily. Can you make sure they aren't targeted by other sects? Jiang Hao said. This surprised the others. Who exactly was this person who deserved such protection from Jing? Zhang was surprised, but she believed she could manage it. This request wasn't as valuable as the book anyway. Making sure someone was safe wasn't very difficult. Fine. I hope to obtain the physical copy of the book. No problem, but you'll need to retrieve it yourself or have someone else do it for you. Zhang was quite puzzled. We haven't used a teleportation channel for trade with friend Jing yet. If needed, I can act as an intermediary, said Gui with a smile. However, I would require a small piece of information in return, like where the moon might appear next. She wanted to go and search for the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment to see if she could meet them. The southern region was getting dangerous, and she wished to get out of there. Chapter 787. A Curse in the Black Sea. Jiang Hao had no objections to Gui's suggestion. After all, he had encountered Gui several times before. Meeting her once more wouldn't make much of a difference. When they met, he would be Jiang Hao. They had very little to do with him anyway. So, there was no need to worry about anything. Gui knew the location of the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl, so she wouldn't be reckless. Zhang also agreed to it. He was from a moderately huge sect. She hadn't heard the name before. Fortunately, the sect wasn't too far from her, so it wouldn't take much time. She didn't understand who or what the particular person had offended. Otherwise, Jing would never ask for protection for that person in exchange for something as valuable as the ancient and modern book. She felt the pressure of taking on such a responsibility. Jing and Gui were done with their trade. Somebody overseas wants to pass on a message to Wu Yang. Who among you has the time? Asked Lu. Gui looked at Jing and hesitated for a moment. What message? Update on Biomicron X0VL. Siomicron M. I heard that someone captured an elderly person intending to exchange them with Wu Yang for something. Lu said. I can go, Gui said. Since she was about to meet Jiang Hao anyway, it wouldn't be a problem to pass on a message. Jiang Hao remained silent. This kind of task didn't bother him much. Presently, he had nothing in particular to worry about overseas, so he didn't need Liu's help. As for Qi Tian, everything had been discussed long ago. If there were any changes, Lu would tell him. After that, they didn't have any more transactions. They began discussing various things happening around them. I heard that Shang is lecturing at the Clear Sky School. During that time, a rainbow surrounded him. an aura as warm as the sun shone upon everyone. Some could even get close enough to talk to him, said Xing with a smile. But what puzzled everyone was that Shang was facing away from them, and no one saw his true face. Nobody knows why, he said. Didn't you go and meet him? Lu asked curiously. I'm already on the way, but I'm not sure if we'll be able to meet him, Xing said with a smile. Can you ask Shang something for me? Gue asked. Of course. Xing smiled softly. Ask him if there will be a chance for an opportunity when next time he advances, said Gue. Everyone understood that Gue had missed her chance last time. Xing agreed readily. He looked at the others. Do you have any questions you want to ask as well? What does the world look like from the eyes of sage? Lu asked. Zhang thought for a moment. From the perspective of a sage, if someone intends to kill me, should I forgive them? Jiang Hao remained silent. He wanted to ask if sages ever lacked spirit stones. However, based on the mysterious impression he had left, he knew he couldn't ask such a silly question. I recently encountered people from the Shangwan family overseas and researched their curse. I found that the curse is alive, said Gay. Want to know what else I found? What? Lu asked. A sea. For some reason, the curse is now active. There must be a cause for it. When I observed the sea, it was entirely pitch black, like the Black Sea, Gue said with some trepidation. Fortunately, I escaped before it got dangerous. I'm not sure why I saw the sea instead of the person behind the curse. Black Sea. Jiang Hao was surprised. He hadn't expected the Shangwan family's curse to be connected to the Black Sea. Was this Black Sea related to the sea in the corpse realm? Jian's Hao couldn't be sure. However, no matter how he looked at it, this wasn't something he could involve himself in. It was better to avoid contact with them as much as possible. I've also heard that once the Shangwan family members enter the southern region, the great Thousand Gods sect will subdue them. If not for the fact that the sect is withdrawing from the south at the moment, there would have been a huge fight, said Gue. They didn't know why these people wanted to fight. However, they were curious about what lay behind the curse. Unfortunately, they couldn't get any details. I recently heard about a senior at the Astronomical Academy who is said to be on par with the light. Some people are trying to find him everywhere and hoping to bring him back, Zhang said. Besides being in harmony with the light, he stood alone against the beast tide in the western desert. He sacrificed himself to protect the disciples of the Astronomical Academy. He was a true senior of the academy. That's why many are searching for him again, she said. Jiang Hao felt somewhat strange. It seemed like anyone powerful and connected to the academy was referred to as a senior, and those stronger than seniors were considered elders. He suspected that Gu Jin had joined the Astronomical Academy because of this. After discussing some more matters, the gathering came to an end. Jiang Hao withdrew from space. However, when he left, there was a slight delay. After that, he successfully returned to his body. Looking at the stone tablet again, he noticed it seemed considerably dimmer. What's going on? Jiang Hao didn't even have time to record the contents of the gathering. He found no issues with the stone tablet. It wasn't until he retracted the yin-yang bracelet that he noticed it had also dimmed slightly. He understood what was happening. There seemed to be a conflict between the stone tablet and the yin-yang bracelet. The stone was a karmic artifact, so, theoretically, it shouldn't affect the yin-yang bracelet. After all, he was within the bracelet, and karma wouldn't break. It should have been the impact of the gathering. It looks like I need to be more cautious next time. Putting away both items, Jiang Hao took out a notebook to write down all he had learned from the gathering. Senior Dan Yuan's task still involved the Ancient Sages page. This time, the pages seemed different somehow. Exchange the ancient and modern book with Zhang for protection. Additionally, Gue would be coming to collect the book and to pass on a message to Wu Yang. Xing wanted to ask Shang and some questions. The Astronomical Academy was searching for a senior, one who is in harmony with the light. The Shangwan family's curse overseas seems connected to the Black Sea, possibly related to the corpse realm. The Shangwan family had a conflict with the Great Thousand God sect. Jiang Hao didn't write that down. He suspected the reason was Feng Hua. Dole murmured something as Jiang Hao finished writing. Jiang Hao turned to look. Dole's eyes fluttered open. Dole, you're awake. Where am I? Dole seemed to have recovered from his injuries. He was a Kanruja. A senior saved you and brought you back. He healed your injuries, Jiang Hao said. A senior? Dole found it hard to believe. Which senior saved me? I don't know. Jiang Hao shook his head. But the rumors have been going on, and they say it was me. I guess they couldn't find anyone to pin the rumors on, so they used my name. Isn't that dangerous for you? Dole was concerned. Jiang Hao nodded. That's why I can only stay here and continue mining. After resting for 2 days, Dole went out to sell the ores. Jiang Hao watched him leave, but wasn't particularly worried about him. The real danger was in the west. For now, he could peacefully mine here. Chapter 788. The appearance of the demoness October. There wasn't much to do in the corpse realm. On this day, Jiang Hao continued mining as usual. He had received an additional 30,000 spirit stones from Dole. There were a total of 150,000 spirit stones to be divided. He alone had over 240,000. He was extraordinarily wealthy. To be safe, he asked Guan Zhongfei to ask around for September spring. It had been a while since Hong Yuye visited, and he didn't know what new demands she might have when she finally did. It was better to be prepared. Clang! Clang! Jiang Hao kept swinging the pickaxe. He suddenly felt something strange. He turned to look behind, and his heart almost stopped. At some point, a red and white figure appeared behind him. She looked at him intently. Update on Biomicron XROVL. Siomicron M, keep going. What do you think I'm here for? Hong Yuye said teasingly. Jiang Hao didn't dare to act rashly. Her sudden appearance caught him off guard. When exactly had she appeared? Fortunately, there hadn't been any fluctuations around. Senior, greetings. He couldn't mine anymore. Why did you come here to mine? Hong Yuye asked. To earn spirit stones, Jiang Hao said. Is that so? Hong Yuye said. Didn't earn much this time, either? Not exactly, Jiang Hao said. I earned 40,000 spirit stones this time. It's enough to buy 2 packs of September Spring for you, senior. Oh, Hong Yuye was surprised. You bought September Spring already? It's not easy to find in the corpse realm, but I've told someone to ask around. I have prepared red azure tea. He indeed had prepared red azure tea. Hong Yuye looked at Jiang Hao for a long while. Finally, she asked, What's your cultivation realm now? Middle stage of the Golden Core realm, Jiang Hao said. Middle stage, Hong Yuye chuckled. I thought you were already in the late stage. She stepped outside. Jiang Hao collected his things and quickly caught up. Have you attended any gatherings recently? Hong Yuye asked along the way. Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. Hong Yuye stopped and extended her hand. Jiang Hao hesitated for a moment. Then, he handed over the notebook. Give me the stone tablet, Hong Yuye said as she received the book. Jiang Hao didn't dare to hesitate and immediately handed over the stone tablet. Hong Yuye frowned. You're quite adept at stirring things up, she said. Jiang Hao lowered his head. It was difficult to explain, so he remained silent. A red light enveloped the stone tablet, and the tablet gradually recovered. A rune entered the stone tablet. Before long, she returned the stone tablet to Jiang Hao. Hong Yuye flipped through the book. She asked Jiang how to explain. Currently, Senior Dan Yuan is focusing on the sage's pages. How much do you know about these pages? Jiang Hao asked. What about you? Hong Yuye asked. I've learned a bit from the ancient and modern book. It's said that when these pages appear, changes are inevitable. If it's ordinary, it's manageable. However, unpredictable changes might occur. Things like the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl and Heavenly Tao Foundation Establishment have all been recorded in these pages, Jiang Hao said truthfully. The ancient pages are indeed very special, and there are many rumors. But no one knows their true origins, Hong Yuye said calmly. Should we search for them? Jiang Hao asked. Do you want to search for them? Hong Yuye looked at Jiang Hao and smiled. Are you protecting someone in the West because of this? Senior, your insight is as sharp as ever, he said. Hong Yuye chuckled. Tell me about your plans. Dole is a very useful person. My relationship with him is good. Moreover, his luck is extraordinary, so he's bound to achieve something in the West. Now is the perfect time to invest in him. Besides, I suspect there's a plan to end everything in the West, and the people from the Great Thousand God sect are paying attention. We have Chi Tian overseas. In the West, we have Dole. If there's an opportunity, I will arrange to have some people in the East and North. This will provide us with enough channels to find the person behind the stone tablet. We are only lacking a bit of time, Jiang Hao said earnestly. Hong Yuye was astonished. She remained silent for a long time. You're truly dedicated. Jiang Hao bowed his head. They'll do anything for you, senior. Your beast can't compare to you in lies. Jiang Hao lowered his head and didn't say anything. Hong Yuye didn't press him further. At that point, she stepped outside. A table and chairs appeared. She sat down and asked Jiang Hao to make red azure tea. Jiang Hao didn't hesitate. Red azure tea was no problem to brew. Hong Yuye looked at the book. What about the name Gu Jin left for you? Jiang Hao extended his hand and pointed at the book. It's here. Hong Yuye glanced at it, but didn't say much. Jiang Hao was puzzled. What did she mean by it? Is there something wrong with this? He asked hesitantly. Keep it. Aren't you planning to place some people in the West? Hong Yuye asked. With this, things will be much easier for you in the West. Jiang Hao was speechless. The name would surely bring a lot of trouble, but he didn't want to go through with it. However, with Hong Yuye saying so, he had no choice but to accept it. Do you know about the Black Sea? Hong Yuye asked. Yes. The Black Sea is in the corpse realm, Jiang Hao said. Have you seen it? Hong Yuye glanced at the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl in Jiang Hao's hand. Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. How long do you plan to carry around that ominous thing? Hong Yuye asked. Well, Jiang Hao hesitated and put it away. Nothing happened. Sure enough, with Hong Yuye around, danger seemed to disappear. Have you been to the Black Sea, senior? Jiang Hao asked. No. Hong Yuye shook her head. The corpse realm is far from being as simple as one might think. Jiang Hao was surprised. If even Hong Yuye said so, this place must indeed be somewhat special. He had studied the ancient language before, but hadn't found a suitable translation. Translating it the other way around didn't seem to work either. He wasn't sure why. Otherwise, he would know what they were talking about. Perhaps people were living in the corpse realm and hiding. The ancient pages can be sought after. Knowing their content can give a glimpse into the next era, whether good or bad, Hong Yuye said. Senior, where do you think the ancient pages might appear? Jiang Hao poured a cup of tea for Hong Yuye. Logically, they should appear in the West, but based on the information from Xing and the others, the pages might appear unexpectedly. Senior, is it the appearance of the ancient pages that causes things to be recorded, or were things destined to happen, and the ancient pages just predict them in advance? Chapter 789. A person not to be trifled with. What exactly are the pages of the ancient book? Jiang Hao wasn't certain, but from the information he gained, they were definitely not simple. He didn't understand why some were items like the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl, while others were ordinary things like cooking recipes and so on. It seemed there was no distinction between the immortal and mortal. Anything could appear on the pages. Did the legends come before the pages, or did the pages come before the legends? Hong Yuye asked. Weren't some of them just ordinary things? Jiang Hao wondered why they were all legendary. Ordinary things? Hong Yuye asked. Jiang Hao mentioned things like culinary skills that he had seen on the pages. Hong Yuye asked, before delicious food appeared, what did people eat? Before magnificent buildings rose, where did people live? Before weaving emerged, what did people wear? Before the appearance of paper, what did people use to write on? Those who cultivate have their own world and perspective. But that doesn't mean that only things related to cultivators are legendary. With time, you will discover that all living things experience legendary phenomena. Each legend accumulates to form the present world. And now, people consider culinary skills ordinary because they have long lived amidst legends. Jiang Hao understood that the appearance of pages from the ancients was actually influencing the world. The things recorded on the pages of the ancients already exist. Even if there were no pages, those things would eventually happen someday. The appearance of the pages accelerates the appearance of what's recorded and even provides methods to counter it. In other words, the pages of the ancients record various things and wait for the destined person to retrieve them. Hong Yuye said. After thinking for a moment, Jiang Hao realized that it all made sense. It was when history reached a bottleneck and was about to usher in change that the sage's page would appear. It would inform others about what the change would be. Whoever obtained them could step ahead of others and lead. But whether one could achieve something like that was another matter entirely. Whether it was the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl or the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment, the same rules applied. These were things that couldn't be achieved by individuals alone, even if they obtained the pages. Even if one hid the pages, one couldn't prevent the things that were destined from happening. The Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl and the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment would still have emerged. The sage's page had the upper hand. Many were naturally interested in those pages. After finishing the book, Hong Yuye returned it to Jiang Hao. Do you think the 100 Nights Curse is related to the corpse realm, Senior? Jiang Hao asked. Hong Yuye glanced at him, but said nothing. Instead, she drank her tea. Jiang Hao also sat down and poured himself a cup. How long have you been here? Hong Yuye asked. I arrived in June. It's now October. It's been more than 4 months, Jiang Hao said. Do you plan to continue mining and earning spirit stones? Hong Yuye asked. Of course. Serving you is my priority, Senior, said Jiang Hao. After hesitating for a moment, he said, while I was cultivating in seclusion inside, I heard the sound of waves. I don't know where it came from. Hong Yuye looked at the mountain range. Do you want to enter that sea? It's not that. I'm just curious, Jiang Hao said. It wasn't necessary to enter. If fate allowed it, he could go in and take a look. If not, then he could forget about it. It won't be long. In a while, you will be able to enter that sea, Hong Yuye said. Jiang Hao was surprised. It meant that the sea was the corpse sea after all. He just didn't know if he could see the founder of the Divine Corpse sect. The other party hadn't left any traces at Heavenly Steel Mountain, which was regrettable. A skinkdom helped him understand what the corpse realm was all about. It could also clarify whether it was possible to enter through teleportation. The two didn't speak again, but silently drank their tea. After half a pot of tea was finished, Hong Yuye turned to Jiang Hao. Is Xiaoli also here? Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. Aren't you going to go and find her? Xiaoli is not a child anymore. Eventually, she has to learn to go out on her own. She's not a child anymore. Yeah. Hong Yuye looked at the person in front of her and then pointed into the void. A red light shot across. No one knew where it led to or what it intended to do. Dole once again visited Moon Lake, but he no longer sold ores openly. He was much more cautious than before. The only regret was not having a convenient treasure to conceal himself. Otherwise, it would have been much easier. He possessed numerous ores which were priceless. In his lifetime, he had never seen so many spirit stones. Although he hadn't sold them yet, he already treated them as spirit stones. After a long time, he saw a late-stage golden core realm cultivator, whose cultivation wasn't as strong. The person seemed to possess some spirit stones. After a brief hesitation, he emerged from hiding. The other person was startled. Friend, please don't be afraid. I mean no harm, Dole hurriedly said. The man, who had been cautious, couldn't believe it was Dole. He instinctively stepped back and hastily said, Friend, let's talk things out. He knew very well that since the appearance of this person, there hadn't been any powerful figures daring to act brazenly at Moon Lake. Everyone who targeted Dole had died, no matter their origin or opportunities. Every person was mercilessly slain. It was all because they had offended this person. Therefore, among the people at Moon Lake, Dole was feared. Friend, I really have no ill intentions. There's no need to be so frightened, Dole said kindly. Do you have something to say to me? The man asked. I wanted to ask if you're interested in buying ores. I have some. He'll take it. He'll buy everything. Dole sold the ores in a daze and earned about 3,000 spirit stones. This puzzled Dole. The man looked terrified of him. After that, he met several more people. It was the same with everybody. They bought many ores from him. They gave him all their spirit stones in exchange. Dole felt like he was robbing people of their money. In the distance, 2 people observed Dole. Their cultivation realms were extremely high, and Dole, at the Golden Core realm, naturally couldn't sense them. They were both women. One was clad in tiger and leopard fur and exuded a wild aura, while the other looked graceful and elegant. "That really is Dole from our sect," said the woman in animal fur. "Yeah, it's him." "Is it true that whoever offends him gets slaughtered?" asked the graceful woman. "Didn't you notice? The late-stage Golden Core Realm cultivator who bought the ores was actually at the primordial spirit realm. They dare not offend Dole." It seemed the rumors were true. Here at Moon Lake, Dole was not someone to be trifled with. "It seems that quite a few people have their eyes on him," said the woman in animal fur. "He's doomed once he leaves. Should we warn him? If it is possible, perhaps we could advise him to stay here." "There might be some hope here," said the graceful woman. "Forget it. He has offended many great sections. I heard that most of the deceased were from major sections. If someone suspects that we know him somehow, there'll be a disaster." "That's true, but doing nothing makes me feel a bit guilty." "We'll pay attention after he leaves." Outside, Yin Yuezhi from the Astronomical Academy found Jing Dajiang. Chapter 790. The Real Corpse Realm. The backyard of the Astronomical Academy. Yin Yuezhi hesitated for a long time before deciding to leverage the Academy's power. Although Dole's sect seemed ordinary, the person holding the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl had asked for his protection. Her individual strength might not be enough. Since she sought that particular book, she needed to ensure everything went flawlessly. Failure would have dire consequences. Failing to acquire the book would affect future trade as well. After all, she had read the contents of the book. Moreover, she had already intended to use the promise made by that senior. If she was delayed, it would be too late for regrets. She decided to use her trump card. She wasn't fond of surprises. "Young lady, here again? What do you intend for us this time?" Jing Dajiang sat under a tree in a reclining chair. Yin Yuezhi bowed respectfully. "Senior, you promised me that you would fulfill one request for me." "Yes. If you want to become my disciple, I can arrange for someone to teach you." Jing Dajiang smiled at her. "So, have you decided what you want?" "Yes, I have decided, but it might be a bit troublesome for you," Yin Yuezhi said. After a short while, Jing Dajiang furrowed his brow as he looked at the student in front of him. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely." Yin Yuezhi nodded. After some time, Yin Yuezhi left the backyard and departed from the Astronomical Academy. She headed in the direction of the Mountain River Valley sect. Half a month later, she reached the sect's premises, but she couldn't find Dole. After asking around, she found out that he had entered the corpse realm. She was surprised. He hadn't even left the corpse realm. So why was Jing trying to protect him? After thinking for a moment, she understood. Jing was in the corpse realm too. He knew that Dole would be in danger after coming out of that realm. But why did he want to protect him? It was impossible for her to guess. Dole must be valuable. Otherwise, Jing wouldn't be trying to protect him. It seems I'll have to wait here. Yin Yuezhi picked up a book and began reading. This book was about the methods of cultivation that she couldn't comprehend before. Yet now, as she read the book, she started to understand it. Suddenly, she entered a state of meditation. Half a month had passed. Jiang Hao noticed that Hong Ye wasn't planning on leaving. He had no idea what she was here for. He couldn't even mind anymore. He didn't even dare to tend to the spirit herbs. He was afraid of absorbing the spiritual energy accidentally. Once or twice might be okay, but with frequent occurrences, somebody would surely suspect him. Moreover, his tea supply was almost depleted. He didn't know what to do. Although he had many spirit stones, it didn't matter if he couldn't find a place to buy tea. He couldn't brew tea for her. Suddenly, he heard the waves again. Gradually, the sound grew louder, as if something was being crushed. Jiang Hao turned to look at the mountain range. The sound was coming from within. The corpse sea? He was surprised. He hadn't expected to get lucky. He had encountered the corpse sea. Jiang Hao hadn't imagined the corpse sea would be within a mountain range. It was no wonder only a few people had seen it. At that moment, Hong Ye got up. "You want to enter that sea? Let's go." Jiang Hao was speechless. With Hong Ye by his side, he would be much safer. However, there were many things they couldn't do. There was always some gain and a certain kind of loss. Perhaps the greatest advantage of such a place might be encountering countless treasures that had remained untouched throughout the years. Perhaps just brushing past it might mean a lot of benefits. However, even if it were so, he had to give them up. He feared he would get white bubbles. Blue and green bubbles wouldn't compromise his location. However, white bubbles might not be so safe. After that, the two walked into the mine. It looked like a normal cave to mine in. However, the further they went, the louder the sound of waves became. It was as if they were at a huge seaside. After walking for a hit, _Tanohan noticed the ground becoming dammer over. The passage seemed to have changed. The narrow passages from the time he had mined here were gone. They were replaced by a huge, spacious pathway. After a few steps, an endless sea came into view. Jiang Hao stood at the edge of the passage and sensed the bottomless abyss beneath him. It was eerie. Why is this sea so eerie? The corpse realm is full of vitality. This place is grim and lifeless. After observing for a while, Jiang Hao realized that he was at a cliff within the cave. The sea spanned below. Jiang Hao didn't dare to fly out on his sword recklessly. He extended his senses and ensured there wasn't any problem in the surroundings. He intended to go to the sea surface. "Senior, is this sea dangerous?" he asked Hong Yuya. However, she didn't respond. Fortunately, the path didn't look too slippery. He could go down and take a look. As for finding the founder of the Divine Corpse sect, he didn't know how to begin. Jiang Hao took a step forward and appeared above the corpse sea. At that moment, he could see the cliff above. It was not a very tall mountain peak. "Senior, shall we go up and take a look?" Jiang Hao asked. Hong Yuya looked at him without saying anything. It seemed like he had to figure this out on his own. After that, Jiang Hao arrived at the top of the mountain. Only then did he realize that the mountain was connected to an endless continent, where everything was desolate and lifeless as far as the eye could see, and the vast sea in front of him gave off a similar aura. If the corpse sea was ahead, then what was the land behind? He felt a bit lost. The entrance below was connected to the present corpse realm. This should be the coast of the corpse sea, Jiang Hao said. He remembered that the founder of the sect would be here, but he didn't know how to find him. Boom! Suddenly, something rumbled and echoed in the distance. Jiang Hao turned toward the direction and saw a person fleeing. He was being chased by 3 others. "Friend, please save me," said the middle-aged man. He was injured and flew over to this side without stopping. "Where are you escaping, you demon?" The 3 people behind him yelled angrily. Jiang Hao watched as the man got closer and sighed. Then he unsheathed his sword. As the man approached, he swung his sword. He used the first form of the heavenly blade, moon slaying. Swish! The man seeking help was killed with 1 slash. The 3 pursuers were momentarily stunned. This sudden turn of events shocked them. Jiang Hao turned to them. "Didn't you call him a demon? I helped you get rid of him. Now, will you do me a favor in exchange?" The 3 people were stunned. "Friend, you're right." One of them nodded in agreement. "Were you all here before? Or did you just arrive?" Jiang Hao asked. These people made him feel strange. They seemed to carry an aura of death, as if they were inhabitants of this place. He wasn't sure if that aura latched on whoever entered this place, or if they had to stay here a while for it to develop. Perhaps the reason he didn't have it might be because of Hong Yui's presence. He wasn't certain if it was an illusion, but he felt that this was the real corpse realm. Chapter 791, Build a House You. Under the dark and gloomy sky, Jiang Hao felt a bit dejected. It seemed like there was no hope here. Having an unstable mind here would certainly lead to some problems. These 4 people were definitely together. He didn't understand why they would fight each other in this way. The person rushing for help had no injuries at all. Although the people behind were making threats, they didn't use their full strength. Even the person who was escaping didn't use any strength. These 4 individuals had cultivation realms in the soul ascension realm, but all of them were suppressed to the early and middle stages of the golden core realm. This was obviously a mockery. There was no need to be polite with them. The 3 looked at Jiang Hao. Many thoughts surged in their minds, but eventually they decided to answer his questions. The leader was a middle-aged man wearing a blue robe. After thinking for a moment, he said, We accidentally entered here some time ago. How long ago was that? Jiang Hao asked. About a month ago, the middle-aged man said. A month ago? Jiang Hao realized that the corpse sea had appeared in other places before. This time, it had appeared in the 1,000-feet mountain. Where did you enter from? Jiang Hao asked. These people were obviously running to the outside. It made him suspect that they weren't relying on the sea itself. At the seaside, the middle-aged man said. And then? What have you been doing for the past month? Jiang Hao asked. Something was obviously wrong here. Didn't they leave as soon as possible? The three looked at each other. Finally, the middle-aged man said, We felt that this place was unusual and wanted to explore a bit, but we didn't discover anything. You aren't leaving? Jiang Hao looked at them. Jiang Hao knew they were lying about the last part. They must have obtained something. For him, it didn't matter what they discovered. He had no intention of taking it for himself. We can't leave. The middle-aged man sighed. The entrance we used has disappeared. Aren't you worried? Jiang Hao asked. This place was strange, yet these people didn't seem concerned about it. When the three heard the question, they didn't take it seriously. The younger one among them said, We've been here for a few months already. Maybe we'll be able to leave in another 2 or 3 months. At worst, it might be 4 or 5 months. Jiang Hao recalled something. In a corpse realm, one could respond to the heaven, earth, and human yuan formations to leave. But Jiang Hao looked up at the sky. He wasn't sure if this place was the same as the outside. If it were him, he definitely wouldn't wait. There might be unknown dangers in this place that he couldn't fight. He had checked just now, and the entrance on the cliff was still there. Apart from the entrance, he had hidden subrings outside, so he wouldn't be trapped here. If there was any danger, he could just leave. As for whether the heaven, earth, and human yuan formation would work here, he thought they would work just as well. After all, there had never been news of people coming to the corpse sea and not being able to return. Some people knew about the corpse sea, which meant that people had visited this place before. This place should be special because it seemed like the founder of the sect had stayed here and left a mark. Have you been to any other places inside this one? Jiang Hao asked. There are mountains, rivers, and streams here, but each place shows signs of desolation. There are also many strange forces that we don't dare to touch due to our low cultivation, the middle-aged man said. Jiang Hao nodded and asked if they had a map of this place. He realized there weren't maps circulating outside about this place, which made him curious. It didn't seem so difficult to enter, and it was fairly easy to leave. So, why were there no maps here? At that moment, Jiang Hao communicated with his subring again and was relieved that it still worked. So, he didn't have to worry too much about it. The three didn't have a map, but claimed that they could draw one. After a while, Jiang Hao received a roughly drawn map. It mostly depicted forests, mountains, rivers, lakes, and swamps. There are also some caves. The caves were dangerous during the day and safer at night. They didn't know what the danger was. After all, those who went inside had disappeared. Jiang Hao asked them if they had seen any other people here. The three shook their heads. Jiang Hao didn't pay much attention to it and decided to look around the coastline. Perhaps he might find something. As for mountains, rivers, and streams, there was no need for him to go and explore. From what he knew, the founder was on the coastline. With his storage treasure in hand, Jiang Hao rode his sword toward the coastline. The three individuals also breathed a sigh of relief when they saw him leave. When Jiang Hao glanced back, he wondered if everything had been an illusion. Against the gloomy background, the three individuals appeared even more integrated into it. They looked as though they were a part of a black and white painting. The strangeness made him wary. He wasn't sure if that was happening to him too. The three people didn't seem to be aware of it. Perhaps they believed they had no issues. They just waited for the corpse realm to near its end so they could leave. That was the most terrifying part. They walked the path of the dead, yet thought they were part of life. They're dead. Before Jiang Hao could finish his words, Hong Yuye answered. Her words sent a shiver down Jiang Hao's spine. He could understand it. He took out the storage treasure he had just picked up and opened it. It was completely empty. What's going on? He found it hard to believe. It couldn't possibly be all empty. Someone must have taken it, Hong Yuye said. Jiang Hao felt odd. If they were dead, How are they walking around like the living? The corpse realm seemed even stranger than he had anticipated. This also meant that there were other people here. Jiang Hao rode his sword along the coastline. He observed the changes in his body because he feared that he might also assimilate into this dead and desolate place without noticing anything. Once his aura changed, he would leave this place. Otherwise, the consequences would be unpredictable. After some time, they appeared on the beach, where some houses had sprung up. These houses had simple, thatched roofs. He noticed that people were living in those huts. There were probably 7 or 8 individuals in total. They probably didn't belong to one group. 4 thatched huts represented 4 factions. Jiang Hao's arrival caught their attention. There were 3 women and 4 men. Each of them was in a return to Void Realm. They didn't emit an aura that the previous 4 individuals had. Moreover, they were carrying magical treasures for protection. They were members of the Divine Corpse sect. Jiang Hao saw a man and a woman in the distance. He could tell they were proficient in the corpse dissolving technique. 2 other women exuded the great aura of the grand universe. From the remaining 3 people, he had never seen the 2 of them. The last one was dressed as a scholar. They seemed related to the Astronomical Academy. Why were they living here? Are you also here to find someone? Asked the man who was dressed like a scholar. Yes, said Jiang Hao. He wasn't sure if they were all looking for the same person. Your cultivation doesn't seem very high, but surely you have something special to be able to come here. I advise you, friend, to build a house here. It's going to ram soon, said the scholar-looking man. Chapter 792, Offending the Demoness? You, build a house? Jiang Hao was puzzled. However, seeing all the people building their houses, he decided to follow suit and build one too beside the scholarly-looking man. Hong Yuye remained silent. A tea table had appeared out of nowhere. Jiang Hao brewed a pot of tea for her. It was the last batch of tea. After that, he started building a house. He initially planned to build a rain pavilion. However, seeing others build something sturdy, he decided to build a better one. Fortunately, none of these people seemed to want to make a move against him. Friend, which sect do you belong to? Asked the scholarly-looking man. I am from the Astronomical Academy. I'm Smiling San Sheng, said Jiang Hao. Saying so, he continued building the house. Friend, who are you looking for here? Asked the scholar. At that moment, Jiang Hao glanced at the 2 women. Their faces changed when he told the man that his name was Smiling San Sheng. It seemed they immune people from the Great Thousand God sect. An old man, Jiang Hao said. In truth, he had no idea if the founder of the Divine Corpse sect was old or young. He didn't even know if they were a man or a woman. The scholar didn't say much and gazed at the sky. It's going to rain soon. Friend, you better hurry. Jiang Hao thanked him and increased his speed. After a while, he finished constructing a wooden house. It was slightly better than other people's houses. He had some experience in building houses, after all. Soon, thunder rumbled in the sky. It's about to rain, said the scholar as he entered his house and closed the door. Everyone else did the same. Jiang Hao glanced at Hong Yuye. Since she didn't react at all, he did the same as the others. Moments later, it thundered in full blast outside. Jiang Hao looked up at the ceiling. Though he couldn't see outside, he felt that the thunderstorm was quite fierce. Soon, drops of water fell on the thatched roof. The sound grew louder. Heavy rain poured down. Jiang Hao felt a peculiar aura. It was as if the outside was entirely covered by it. Senior, what is that? He asked the person sipping tea beside him. The aura of the corpse realm, Hong Yuye said. What happens if the rain touches us? Jiang Hao asked. We'll end up like the 4 individuals you met before. Hong Yuye sipped her tea. Suddenly, he heard the sound of waves again. This time, it felt as though the waves had surged closer. It's getting closer. Find a place to take shelter from this heavy rain, said a loud voice from outside. Jiang Hao's eyes narrowed. He recognized the voice. They were the 3 people from before. There's a house here. Let's ask the people inside for shelter, said a woman's voice. Thump, thump. Someone was knocking on Jiang Hao's door. Friend, please open the door and let us in. We'll reward you generously, said the middle-aged man from before. Jiang Hao didn't respond. Soon, the knocking began again. After hesitating for a moment, he said, "Why are you knocking, friend?" "Please, we need shelter from the rain," came the reply from outside. "Where's the seawater now?" Jiang Hao asked. He could now hear someone knocking on the next door, but no one responded. "It's almost at the house," said the voice from outside. Jiang Hao sensed it. The seawater was rising. Soon, he heard other sounds from the sea, making him feel uneasy. "What's on the sea's surface?" Jiang Hao asked. "There's a large ship." "What's on the ship?" "I don't know. I can't see it clearly. The rain is too heavy. If you open the door, you can see for yourself." "Is there anything else besides the ship?" Jiang Hao felt strange. "Please, there's a woman beside me." "A woman?" "Yes. A woman with 2 feet, 2 hands, and 2 eyes." Jiang Hao chuckled. "Oh, really? That's quite a coincidence. I have someone similar here." Hong Ye, who had been holding her teacup, paused for a moment and then turned to look at him. Jiang Hao felt a chill surrounding him. Fortunately, it quickly vanished. It was because he had responded as Smiling Sansheng. Naturally, he had to respond to the people even if it meant offending her. Luckily, nothing happened. He was curious about the ship outside. "The ship is coming. It's going to collide with the house." "Run!" cried someone. The people fled. Jiang Hao also felt a surge of impact. He gripped the heavenly blade. In case of danger, he would use it to pave the way and then connect to the subring outside to leave this place. However, just as the ship reached the wooden house, everything came to a halt. It was as though the ship had stopped right in front of them. An inexplicable, oppressive aura accompanied it. "Are you here to find me?" said a voice from a distance. Jiang Hao was surprised. If he wasn't mistaken, this should be the founder of the Divine Corpse sect. Such a person was entirely beyond his ability to confront. He looked at Hong Yuye. She seemed indifferent. That made Jiang Hao feel a bit at ease. "The rain has stopped. You can come out now," said the voice of an old man. Jiang Hao didn't rush to go out, but waited for the others. As expected, the scholarly-looking man was the first to open his door. Following him was the voice of the ones from the Divine Corpse sect, the Great Thousand Gods sect, and finally, the 2 unknown individuals. Jiang Hao made sure they were all right before opening the door. He saw a large ship outside. Its hull was gray and looked ancient. The person at the helm seemed like an old man who had weathered storms at sea for years. The rain had stopped, and the people from before had disappeared somewhere. Meanwhile, the tide had risen almost to the front door. At the bow of the ship sat a white-haired old man. He looked down at the people below and nodded toward each of them. "Divine Corpse sect, Great Thousand God sect, the end of all things, and the Astronomical Academy." Finally, he looked at Jiang Hao and frowned. "Middle stage of the Golden Core realm." Jiang Hao respectfully bowed. He felt that the man's words were strange. It had a certain implication between the lines. However, he didn't pay too much attention to it. Whether the other party could see through his false cultivation realm or not was of no concern to him. "Come up. Guests are always welcome." The old man smiled. Seeing everyone else fly up, Jiang Hao also rode his sword up. Hong Ye landed on the deck with him. "Are you really the founder?" The 2 from the Divine Corpse sect looked at the old man before them in disbelief. The old man didn't answer them. He chuckled. "Call me Old Man Corpse C. I can't leave this place anymore." "Senior, we came here to seek some guidance," said the woman from the Great Thousand God sect. "You sought me out not to gain something, but to get some answers." "I want to answer just anyone's question," said the old man Clarity, removed the Corpse C as she sat at the ship's bow and smiled softly. "What capabilities do you have?" He looked at the 2 people who had fallen silent. He pointed toward the sea. "How about this? I found a corpse there some time ago. You could try attacking it. Based on the kind of damage you can inflict, it'll decide how many questions it'll answer for you." Chapter 793. This Golden Core Realm cultivator might get just one question, and most a corpse? Jiang Hao stood quietly on the deck and waited. With the lowest cultivation realm, he naturally had to wait until the end. However, it was surprising to find out that the 2 unknown individuals from before were actually from the end of all things. It seemed they had considerable influence. Even the Great Thousand God sect was not lacking in resources. On the surface, they took on other people's tasks. It seemed they had plenty of their own tasks as well. Or perhaps this was someone else's task, and they were just here to complete it. The ship began to enter the water and headed in an unknown direction. Jiang Hao watched the ship as it arrived in the boundless sea. The coastline of the corpse sea was no longer visible. The sky had regained a bit of blue in it. It didn't look as lifeless as before. The sea remained unchanged. A gentle breeze carried the smell of the ocean. "Are you ready?" Old Man Corpse Realm smiled. It seemed he hadn't seen so many people here for a long time. He looked happy. Everyone on the deck stood at their respective positions. On the far left were the two from the Divine Corpse sect. They were a pair of a man and a woman. Both were quite young. Next to them were the people from the Great Thousand God sect. The two looked rather ordinary. They wouldn't stand out in a crowd. Further on were two men. One was middle-aged and the other was young. Then there was the scholarly-looking man from the Astronomical Academy. Jiang Hao stood at the far right. Hong Yuye was beside him. She didn't seem much fond of this place. "We're ready," said the scholarly-looking man, Shu Jin. "The Astronomical Academy is quite straightforward." Old Man Corpse Sea chuckled. He then waved his hand, and a vortex appeared in the sea. A man clad in battle armor leaped out from the water. He landed steadily on the deck and looked at everyone with hostility. Jiang Hao was speechless. The body seemed alive, but he's not alive. Old Man Corpse Sea laughed. He simply retained his combat capabilities. If you don't attack him first, he won't make a move against you. After you attack, it's up to you to see how much you can injure him. If he retaliates and kills you, you'll become another body in the Corpse Sea. There's still time to withdraw. "There is no need for that," said Shu Jin. "The opponent does look strong, but we're ready." The opponent's physical prowess was indeed quite formidable. It wasn't difficult to win, but the challenge was to injure and damage the opponent as much as possible. "Then, let's begin," Old Man Corpse Sea said. Shu Jin stepped forward, but didn't attack immediately. He set up various formations and artifacts around the opponent. Finally, he launched his attack. Boom! A powerful force erupted and sent his opponent flying into the sea. Soon, the figure emerged from the water again. One of his arms was missing, and there were numerous injuries on his body. His combat prowess had diminished significantly. It didn't take long to subdue him, but doing more damage wasn't easy. The opponent seemed to grow stronger the more they fought. Injured by 30%. "I'll answer 3 questions for you," Old Man Corpse Sea said. Then, the seawater enveloped Shu Jin. After some time, he was released. Shu Jin frowned. He seemed to be thinking of something. He bowed to Old Man Corpse Sea and stepped back. Jiang Hao felt a bit regretful that this had turned out to be a question-and-answer session. Otherwise, he would have gained some answers without anything in exchange and showed off at the gathering. "Respected founder, we would like to ask about where Heavenly Steel Mountain goes when it disappears," said the man from the Divine Corpse sect. "Why? Do you want to go and see?" Old Man Corpse Sea didn't mind breaking the rules. "We're looking for a senior brother who didn't come down from Heavenly Steel Mountain." "He vanished," said the woman from the same sect. "What was his cultivation realm?" Old Man Corpse Sea asked. "Middle stage of the primordial spirit realm," said the woman. "Dead." Old Man Corpse Sea gestured toward the Corpse Sea. "You could try looking there. Maybe he's somewhere in the Corpse Sea. All the bodies left behind end up in the Corpse Sea. Wouldn't they have entered another space along with Heavenly Steel Mountain?" asked the man. "Another space?" Old Man Corpse Sea chuckled. "With just the primordial spirit realm? If a primordial spirit realm cultivator could do that, why would you be here asking me this? You could have stayed in Heavenly Steel Mountain to find out." The two fell silent. "Then, where does Heavenly Steel Mountain go when it disappears?" "Founder, please." Before the two could finish their words, a light struck them. They exploded on the spot. "All right, next," Old Man Corpse Sea said calmly. Everyone felt a chill run down their spine. At first, they thought Old Man Corpse Sea was easy to talk to, but strong individuals seemed unpredictable. Jiang Hao glanced to Hong Yuye. She, too, was formidable and powerful. It would be just as effortless for her to kill him. He needed to be more cautious in the future. Trying to reason with strong individuals or expecting goodwill from them was like dancing on the edge of a knife. It was a death wish. The two women from the Great Thousand Gods sect stepped forward. "We want to give it a try." The same corpse faced them. It had returned to its original state. The two women had thought of imitating Shujin's strategy, but as soon as they approached, the corpse attacked them. The first one always has an advantage. The latter won't have the same benefit. Old Man Corpse C chuckled. It seemed he was playing with them to amuse himself. The two from the Great Thousand Gods sect used all their strength, but they only managed to inflict 20% damage. After asking 2 questions, they stepped back. Jiang Hao still didn't know what they had asked. Next were the 2 individuals from the end of all things. Even before they began, the corpse attacked. "The more times it's attacked, the smarter it becomes," said Old Man Corpse C. At that moment, Jiang Hao felt that his chances were slim. The opponent was deliberately manipulating the situation. The 2 individuals from the end of all things inflicted only 10% damage. They were only allowed 1 question. However, that question alone took a long time. Jiang Hao felt that they were discussing something else. The individuals from the end of all things were also strategic. Perhaps they were discussing whether to offer something to the old man in exchange. "Friend, be careful. It might be quite dangerous for you," said Shujin kindly. "Thank you, friend," Jiang Hao said gratefully. "Is there anything you wish to ask, friend?" "I do have a few questions." "Shujin, have you asked all your questions?" "Yes. I have a minor question. I want to ask if the corpse realm is related to our external world. If there are any extra questions, I can help you ask." Shujin had intended to accept a question from Jiang Hao if he had one. It seemed Jiang Hao was offering him the same thing. Jiang Hao was only at the Golden Core realm. He might only get 1 question at most. It was impossible for him to have the chance to ask more questions. At that moment, the 2 individuals from the end of all things were done. It was now Jiang Hao's turn. Chapter 794. Senior, may I ask a few questions at Moon Lake? A huge beast ran as if it was fleeing for its life. But no matter how hard it struggled, it couldn't shake off the person on its back. "Wow, we made it. Friends of the beast didn't deceive us. This monster is incredibly fast," Shaoli said in excitement. "Yes, you're right," Shaoli by Shuang shuddered. "We've arrived at Moon Lake. Can we get down now?" Being on the back of such a monster was a torment for them. They were eager to get off, but they couldn't. If they left Jiang Shaoli, they would die while facing other powerful people. If they got off, the monster would probably attack them. If it couldn't kill Jiang Shaoli, would it spare them? The safest approach was to please Jiang Shaoli and persuade her to get off quickly with them. "Oh, then let's get down," Shaoli said before jumping down with the others. The monster immediately drew the attention of many people who gathered around. Some looked puzzled at the 4 people who were at different stages of the Foundation establishment realm. What was going on exactly? How did these 4 people at the Foundation establishment realm end up riding a lightning beast to this place? Moreover, the beast appeared to be fleeing in panic, as if it had seen something terrifying. Were these 4 people that frightening, especially when there was a child among them? When Shaoli jumped down, others followed suit. Luckily, all of them were unharmed. Bai Shuang and the others understood that Jiang Shaoli's coordination was poor. She was strong, but she always ended up in a mess. Jumping down shouldn't have been a problem, but she still fell to the ground. Even so, she was unharmed. There wasn't much to it except for others looking down on Shaoli's clumsiness. The 3 people were at a loss. They realized Jiang Shaoli might have done it intentionally to appear less of a threat. Then, she would launch a powerful attack. What more could be expected from such a powerful individual as Jiang Shaoli? At that point, the people came closer. They wanted to find out what was happening. There wasn't anything to find out. The 4 probably had lost their freedom. "Hello, friends. May I talk with you?" asked a person at the peak of the Golden Core realm. Shaoli looked at the person curiously. "Do you know my senior brother?" "Yes." The man nodded and smiled. "Really? Where is he?" "I've been looking for him for so long," Shaoli said in surprise. "Come this way, and he'll tell you everything," said the man. He looked to be about 25 or 26, with a corrupt aura about him. Bai Shuang and the others noticed it, but didn't say anything because Shaoli believed him. There was nothing more to say. They couldn't convince her even if they tried, and they didn't dare to try. Shaoli, on the other hand, believed the man. After all, he had agreed that he was Beast's friend. Lord Beast would never lie. The people around observed them, but didn't speak. They didn't know these people, so there was no need for them to speak up for them. This was a person at the peak of the Golden Core realm, at that. His strength was formidable, and so was his companions. Engaging with him wouldn't be good. Hence, there was no need for it. In the forest, the man looked at Xiao Li and smiled. Just now, how did you ride the lightning beast? Xiao Li was confused. I just caught it and rode it. Su Jie felt insulted. Catch it and ride it? Do I look like a fool? How can a mere foundation, establishment, realm, cultivator say such things? Perhaps he had met a fool. Soon, he wondered why he was dealing with a child when there were 3 sensible people beside her. You're still young and don't understand, Su Jie said casually and was about to look for Bai Shuang and the others. I've told you everything. Shouldn't you tell me now where my senior brother is? Shaoli stopped him. I should tell you everything. Su Jie chuckled. Yes. You said just catch it and ride it, right? Yes. All right, then do it for me, so I can see. If you manage to do it, they'll believe you. Shaoli felt awkward. There wasn't a lightning beast around here. Then, she turned and saw a giant python. A golden python had appeared quietly. It stared at them as though it had found a meal for today. The moment he saw the golden python, Su Jie froze in place and immediately wanted to flee. I didn't expect to find a golden python in this forest. Damn it, I shouldn't have come in here in the first place. The strength of the golden python was extraordinary. Even someone in the primordial spirit realm might not be able to handle it. In the vicinity of Moon Lake, no one dared to venture into the area where golden pythons were spotted. As long as someone didn't enter the area, there wouldn't be any danger. So, although the golden python was exceptional, the level of danger was relatively low. Shaoli was excited. With a step forward, a blue light struck through the air, and a punch was thrown. Boom! The golden python was sent flying. Then, Shaoli grabbed the golden python and brought it to Su Jie. Immediately, she stood on the python's head and prompted it to rise. The python rose in fear and accepted its fate as a mount. You see, this is how you use it as a mount. I didn't deceive you, Shaoli said seriously. The beast said that deceiving people is not good. It never deceives people, and I don't deceive people either. Su Jie was shocked. How did a foundation establishment realm cultivator manage to do something like that? I told you how to find a mount. I don't deceive people, and you can't, either. Now, it's your turn to tell me where my senior brother is. Shaoli waved her fists. Deceiving people is not good. You'll get beaten if you do that. Su Jie was speechless. He regretted provoking Shaoli. He screamed as he was sent flying with a punch. His face left a deep furrow in the ground. His bones were fractured, and he was injured severely. Blood flowed from his mouth. Although he was still alive, the others were astonished. They had no idea what had happened. Xiao Li and her companions walked out of the forest as everyone watched. For a moment, no one dared to speak. At that moment, a red light appeared in the sky and swiftly entered Xiao Li's mind at an imperceptible speed. Found them. She pointed excitedly forward. Let's go that way. Bai Shuang and the others didn't dare to refuse. They could only follow her. They realized that the little demon Jiang Xiao Li was a force to be reckoned with wherever she went. Jiang Hao stood in front of the corpse. It was his turn. You're alone. Old man corpse, he asked. Yeah, he'll try alone. Jiang Hao nodded. Then let's begin. Take care. Old man corpse, he smiled. As soon as he finished speaking, the corpse suddenly erupted, and a powerful force released a tide. But it was just for a moment. The corpse rushed toward Jiang Hao. The terrifying force made everyone feel worried. The corpse was intending to kill the Golden Core Realm cultivator. It seemed that the last person got the worst of it. Jiang Hao looked at the corpse. He knew the opponent was not easy to deal with, but he didn't expect it to be so difficult. At that moment, When the corpse approached, he unsheathed his half-moon blade. Jiang Hao took a step forward. Clang! There was a sound of metal on metal as Jiang Hao and the corpse clashed. They remained locked in combat. When everyone thought Jiang Hao had died, he slowly sheathed his sword. Clang! At the moment the sword returned to its sheath, cracks spread across the corpse. With a bang, it shattered into pieces and fell to the ground. Finally, Jiang Hao looked up at Old Man Corpse C and said, "Senior, may I ask a few questions now?" The scene shocked everyone. The others found it unbelievable. Even Old Man Corpse C was surprised. It had happened too fast. That strike was definitely not at the return to Void Realm. This person's cultivation realm was higher than return to Void Realm. Moreover, he could freely linger in the corpse realm. "It'll allow 10 questions," Old Man Corpse C said. Chapter 795, Heavenly Blade Inquiry 1. The people around were shocked at Jiang Hao's strength. Although they knew Jiang Hao was strong, they hadn't expected him to be this extraordinary. A single slash cut through the corpse, and the corpse was shattered. Even if they were given time to prepare, they wouldn't be able to do it. This person didn't need any preparation at all. The gap of strength between them was evident. Among them, Shu Jin was the most shocked. Jiang Hao had told him that if he had any extra questions, he would help ask them. At first, he thought Jiang Hao was offering to be polite. It seemed he was actually being serious. 10 questions. It was simply unbelievable. The members of the End of All Things looked at Jiang Hao. They didn't know what to think. The people of the Great Thousand Gods sect looked wary. They were not on good terms with smiling Sansheng. The strength the person had shown was a warning that he could kill them easily. Jiang Hao stood still and looked at Old Man Corpse C. He couldn't see through his thoughts, so he could only wait and follow the rules set by him. He was somewhat curious about the strength of the person before him, but it seemed this old man had a high influence. If discovered, it would be very dangerous. He could only wait for an opportunity. Since he had advanced to another realm, appraising Hong Yuya might reveal more information. However, he might be discovered, so he didn't dare to do it. Maybe when Hong Yuya was asleep, he could try it. At that moment, seawater covered Jiang Hao and Hong Yuya. They seemed to have entered a palace formed by the seawater. Old Man Corpse C sat at the highest point of that palace and looked down. "You are more capable than I thought. I thought you were just slightly stronger than the others." "I got lucky, Senior," Jiang Hao said respectfully. "What question do you want to ask?" Old Man Corpse C spoke calmly. "Can I ask any question?" "Yes, and that counts as the first question." Jiang Hao was quite surprised. It didn't matter. He still had 9 questions left. "I want to know what the members of the End of All Things asked," said Jiang Hao. The question surprised Old Man Corpse C. He looked at the person below and said with a smile, "You want to know their message?" Jiang Hao nodded. Since he had seen them, he had to ask. He didn't mind, but Hong Yuya would. It was better to ask sooner rather than later to show her that he was serious about finding the person behind the stone tablet. "The members of the End of All Things said they would find a body for me, so I can go out of the Corpse C to the outside world." Old Man Corpse C chuckled. Their request was simple. They wanted me to help them attract the water of the Corpse C. "What will happen then?" Jiang Hao asked. "The water of the Corpse C is extremely complex, but the members of the End of All Things want to use the death aura of the Corpse C to awaken a corpse. This corpse has self-awareness, but is still dead. Once it awakens, it desires to be resurrected, which would require it to devour endless living beings," Old Man Corpse C said. "Senior, did you agree or refuse them?" Jiang Hao asked. "Is that the 4th question?" Old Man Corpse C asked. "Yes." Jiang Hao nodded. "I agreed," Old Man Corpse C said. Jiang Hao wasn't surprised by this. Everyone had choices to make and their own reason for making them. Although this clearly involved the life and death of others on Earth, why would these powerful individuals care about them? Not everyone would be affected by the deaths and struggles of others around them. With the Earth shattered and its creatures suffering, what could be done? After ages, the Earth would rejuvenate and life would thrive again. Who cared if there were creatures that died and new creatures were born? Jiang Hao sighed inwardly. He was also just one of the countless beings without value. He wanted to break free from this cycle. Jiang Hao at least wanted to be able to protect himself. Very few could sympathize with the suffering of others. Even fewer were those who could genuinely take action for the sake of others. That was why the human emperor was born in the first place. He was different from everyone else, was revered by all races, and loved by humans. So, he fought for everyone against formidable enemies. There was only one human emperor. There were many powerful beings who disregarded all living things. Jiang Hao didn't know what his future would be like. Perhaps he would also become one of them. 6 questions remaining. Where is that corpse? West Sky Sea Forest. 5 questions remaining. Jiang Hao didn't ask any more questions, but intended to find out more about the corpse sea. What happens if the border of the corpse realm is closed, and I cross over? You will stay in the Black Sea. After the corpse realm closes, the Black Sea becomes the corpse realm and covers everything like a tide. What happens if I enter the Black Sea? I don't know. I've never been inside, but I've observed it. There's a possibility of entering another world. Of course, there's a higher chance of being devoured by the Black Sea. 3 more questions. Jiang Hao fell silent for a moment. He was thinking about whether he should ask more about the Black Sea, but he realized that even if he asked, the old man might not know anything. So, there was no need to ask. After that, he thought about Heavenly Steel Mountain. What will happen if one leaves an image at Heavenly Steel Mountain? There are many theories about it, but the most likely one is that the person might have a chance to struggle for survival in the Black Sea or have the qualifications to enter the Black Sea. 2 more questions. The qualification to enter the Black Sea, that was good news, but it was still only a possibility. Let's say someone saw people at a certain place in the corpse realm and heard the conversation of the heavenly spirit tribe. Are they real or just an illusion? Chapter 796, Heavenly Blade Inquiry 2. They're real, and this is the last question. Old Man Corpse looked at Jiang Hao and smiled. You must think carefully. Just 10 simple questions may not provide you with enough understanding of the corpse realm. Of course, asking questions I don't know is the same as asking in vain. Jiang Hao wasn't worried. Instead, he asked the questions raised by Shu Jin because the other party had helped warn him of the rain. The reminder was worth a question. What relationship does the corpse realm have with the outside world? That question is not easy to answer. Old Man Corpse thought for a moment and said, according to my speculation, there should be some connection, but to date, no related information has been found. Even the language of the heavenly spirit tribe is somewhat different. Perhaps there's a relation, but it exists in different eras. It's hard to say which is more ancient. If you want an answer, you could try collecting ancient pages. Maybe you'll find some answers there. Jiang Hao felt that it was a pity. Can I ask one more question? I may not answer, Old Man Corpse said. Who is the core of the end of all things? Jiang Hao asked. The person seemed to have entered a certain sea area and disappeared. The others were still waiting for his return. Old Man Corpse shook his head and remained silent. The seawater dissipated. Jiang Hao and Hong Yuye returned to the deck once again. He immediately informed Shu Jin of the answer. The latter was extremely grateful and even took out a jade pendant. He hoped that if Jiang Hao ever visited the western region, he could drop by the Astronomical Academy. Jiang Hao accepted it, but he probably wouldn't go. It was too far away. He simply couldn't reach there. When he went east before, it was because Xiao Li and the others had been there, and he had borrowed the golden rings. There was no one to help him make a trip this time. Actually, there was a way, but whether to use it needed some thought. He had asked all the questions, and it seemed there was no need to linger here. This was not a good place. Jiang Hao wanted to leave as soon as possible. The others also didn't want to stay here any longer. It seems like you want to leave. Indeed, the Corpse Sea is not a place where you can stay as you wish, said Old Man Corpse Sea, and looked at everyone. Oh, one more piece of advice. Don't enter the depths of the Corpse Sea. At that moment, the coastline gradually appeared in sight. The sky turned gloomy once again. In that case, I won't keep you. Old Man Corpse said. Jiang Hao bowed and finally left on his sword. The great thousand god sect and the end of all things were the ones he needed to be wary of. It was important to understand their motives. However, that didn't mean intercepting each one of them. Not everyone's interests conflicted with his. It was wise to avoid conflicts, especially in this dangerous place. Finally, they left. Before long, Jiang Hao arrived at the edge of a cliff and stepped inside. Everything went smoothly. However, when he left, he felt a strange sensation as if he had entered an isolated area. Jiang Hao stood in a cave and breathed a sigh of relief. However, the corpse sea still existed. It seemed he could enter any time. But Jiang Hao didn't plan to go in again. This place made him feel an inexplicable sense of danger. Is there still tea? Hong Yu asked. He'll go and buy it for you immediately, Jiang Hao said promptly. Even ordinary tea was finished, so he had to look around. After leaving the mine, Jiang Hao looked for people in Thousand Feet Mountain. There were many powerful individuals here, so he might find some tea. After a while, he found a woman in blue robes. She frowned at him slightly. The middle stage of the Golden Core realm and late stage of the Foundation Establishment realm. How could these people block her path? Jiang Hao noticed her impatience. Then, a spiritual flame ignited in his eyes. The oppressive aura of the return to Void Realm enveloped the other person. In an instant, the blue-robed woman's spiritual sense surged, subconsciously bowing her head. These two people were not in the Golden Core realm. They were even stronger. Do you mind if I buy some tea from you? Asked Jiang Hao. No, I don't mind. The person nodded. In the end, Jiang Hao spent 15,000 spirit stones. He bought a pack of red azure tea and another pack of ancient spirit tea. With over 390,000 spirit stones remaining, it seemed they couldn't be spent entirely. After that, Hong Yu arrived at a riverside. Instead of walking forward, she asked Jiang how to build a pavilion there. She wanted to drink tea here. Jiang Hao immediately began to cut some wood. He had already finished building a pavilion in less than half a day. Only then did Hong Yu sit inside and let Jiang Hao brew some tea. She sat there for 3 days. Jiang Hao noticed that the tea was finished. Only azure red tea remained now. He looked for others to buy more tea. Luckily, he found some people who were selling them. He spent another 20,000 and bought all the tea from others. It should be enough for a month or two. He had 360,000 spirit stones. Suddenly, it had reduced by over 30,000. It was really terrifying. Who would have thought drinking tea could be this expensive? Under the pavilion, Jiang Hao was curious about what Hong Yu was doing. He asked but didn't get an answer. Jiang Hao sat down to read a book. Before, he couldn't understand the 5th form of the heavenly blade, but now, he could thoroughly study and attempt to use it. Even a mountain sea seal was easy to study. When his cultivation was weak, he couldn't use its power, but it was different now. However, he had to take it one step at a time. He began by studying the 5th form of the heavenly blade. Jiang Hao started reading in an attempt to understand the content before using the sword technique. He activated the clear and pure heart ability. Half a day later, Jiang Hao finally understood the 5th form of the heavenly blade. The form was called inquiry. One state of mind and spiritual consciousness could be used to cut the opponent's state of mind without drawing blood. This form suited those with exceptional states of mind. For those with an ordinary state of mind, this form wouldn't work. But inquiry could consolidate one's state of mind, heart, and spiritual consciousness. It used the blade to nurture the mind and the mind to forge the blade. This is just the 5th form, and it's already so powerful. I wonder what the final 2 forms would be. Just mastering this one seemed like it would take a long time. He also brewed more tea. Jiang Hao drank a cup of tea while reading the book. In the middle of it all, he went out for a while and bought some pastries. He then continued reading while drinking tea until early November. On that day, he felt a change and slowly closed his eyes. He felt like he was about to understand this form, and the heaven lock technique operated within his body. It provided a clearer understanding of his consciousness. The divine might also followed suit. It seemed like everything was aiding his understanding of this form. Without these foundations, it might have taken Jiang Hao a very long time to master the form, but it didn't seem so difficult now. In an instant, Jiang Hao felt the world quieting down. Everything around him stopped. He sat alone in the pavilion and looked at the mountains, rivers, and streams. The strange feeling worried him. He couldn't sense the outside world. It seemed like he was trapped in it. At that moment, a blade appeared in his hand out of nowhere. He stared at the blade for a long time and got lost in his thoughts. He returned to his senses after a long time. Inquiry. He looked at the mountain, rivers, and streams ahead. He understood the significance of this form. Heavenly Blade Inquiry. It slashes others and slashes oneself. At that moment, he lifted the blade in his hand without hesitation. In that instant, his state of mind and spiritual consciousness were like a blade. The blade light swept through everything. Boon Jiang Hao opened his eyes under the rain pavilion. He looked at the woman drinking tea opposite him and felt calm again. He had mastered the fifth form of the heavenly blade. At that moment, he was stronger than before and understood the heavenly blade better. He felt impulsive to test it out. Pour the tea, Hong Yuya said. Hearing this, Jiang Hao immediately began pouring the tea. At Moon Lake, the fallen immortal clan had arrived. They had been chasing after Jiang Shaoli all along. At first, they thought they would find her in the blood-tide forest. After going there, they discovered the other party had come to Moon Lake. After that, they found out that she had left for the 1,000-Feet Mountain. How could a Foundation establishment realm cultivator be so fast? The young man asked. Let's not worry about it for now. We have to catch her first, the middle-aged man said. With them was a woman in a black robe. She was frowning. After hesitating for a moment, she followed them. With their speed, it wouldn't take long for them to catch up with Jiang Shaoli. Chapter 797. Sister-in-law. Here the sun was warm and pleasant. Jiang Hao sat in the pavilion drinking tea. It had been a long time since he returned to the mine. He wondered if Dole and the others had gone back. The spirit stones were still with him. He hadn't split it with them. It made him feel worried. The boundary of the corpse realm would soon close. He had entered in June, and now it was November. 5 months had passed. 6 months later, the corpse realm would close. Actually, he had another idea. He wanted to find Guan Zhongfei. He could have him take one of the golden rings to the west. If needed, he could go there. But the west was too dangerous. Once that corpse was awakened, going there would be like walking into a lion's den. There was no reason for him to go. Although it was related to the end of all things, there was no news about the stone tablet, so there was no need to worry about it unless there was confirmation that the ancient sage's page had appeared in the western region. Jiang Hao decided to stay in the sect and manage the spirit herbs as usual. Perhaps due to the improvement in his cultivation, he had an urge to go out. Being at the early stage of the Immortal Ascension platform was remarkable. Jiang Hao thought several times about the pavilion master of the Heavenly Joy Pavilion, whose strength far surpassed his own. Once he encountered him outside, it would be a matter of life and death. Another half a month passed in this way. Jiang Hao found Guan Zhongfei. He had heard that a strong individual was staying here and came over to take a look. It turned out to be Jiang Hao, and there was a woman with him. She seemed to be at the late stage of the Foundation establishment realm. If this cultivator pretending to be in the middle stage of the Golden Core realm could kill him with one slash, wouldn't she be the same? He was very respectful. Greetings, seniors. He took out all the spirit stones from the last sale. It was a total of 60,000 spirit stones. Although it wasn't as many as last time, he did his best. Hong Yue looked at Jiang Hao. He remained calm. There didn't seem to be any issues with whatever Gong Zhongfei had said. After receiving the spirit stones, Jiang Hao talked to Guan Zhongfei. When they were in an isolated place, Jiang Hao said, adding the previous 15,000, it's a total of 210,000. The corpse realm is about to close, so you don't need to come looking for me again. You can continue selling the remaining ores, but it'll deduct 2,000 from yours. After that, the stones from the sales will all be yours. It's the same for Dole. You can tell him the same. Guan Zhongfei had no objection to it. 21,000 in total, 1,000 is mine. The remaining 200,000. They'll take 80,000, and you and Dole take 20,000 each. That'll be a total of 120,000. You and Dole each have 40,000 from the ores sold. These ores will belong to you, Jiang Hao said. Any questions? No, none at all. Guan Zhongfei bowed to him. They were making a profit. There must still be quite a lot on Dole's side, and they could also sell a fair number of ores for spirit stones. After handing over the 80,000 spirit stones, Jiang Hao said, "If you don't find Dole after leaving the corpse realm, then give the spirit stones to him when you're outside." Well, Guan Zhongfei was very happy to receive the spirit stones, but Dole's matter was not that simple. After hesitating for a moment, he said, "If, after we go out, what if Dole isn't alive? Then you should still deliver the spirit stones," Jiang Hao said. Guan Zhongfei felt bitter but didn't dare to refuse. Jiang Hao stood in place. He was silent for some time. Finally, he took out a golden ring. "Take this, put it in your residence, and activate it with a technique." As he spoke, a mountain sea seal struck Guan Zhongfei's forehead. He was greatly shocked. He felt a tremendous weight pressing down on him. It was as though that weight could press down on an entire mountain. This terrifying power made him shiver. Jiang Hao comforted him. "No need to worry. Once you do it, the item will disappear along with the one on your forehead." "All right." Guan Zhongfei could only nod. After teaching him how to activate the golden ring, Jiang Hao let him leave. Now, he had 280,000 spirit stones. That was still a lot. The incarnation of the immortal peach tree only required about 50,000 spirit stones. That would leave him with 230,000. There were many things he could do. As for the golden ring, he would bury one for now. Perhaps he would need to go there soon. If not needed, after activating the ring, he could go and retrieve it or hide it in another place. The only concern was whether this person would activate it. He didn't have many subrings left. There was one with Xiao Li and another with the spirit beast. There was one at home, one in the corpse realm, another with Guan Zhongfei and Hong Yuye. That made a total of 6 rings. He only had the main ring and 2 subrings left. It was barely enough. As he returned, Jiang Hao frowned. He sensed someone approaching Hong Yuye, and it was a familiar aura. "Sister-in-law," said someone loudly. Jiang Hao was speechless. He felt his scalp tingle. He wanted to leave as soon as possible. One word from Xiao Li could mean their deaths. If Hong Yuye was offended, it would be the end. Fortunately, Hong Yuye did not erupt with a terrifying aura. Jiang Hao could only wait and watch. He could pretend not to have heard Xiao Li. This way, it would be much safer. Xiao Li was outspoken, so maybe it wasn't a big deal. Just because she called out didn't mean Hong Yuye would have heard it. As for the other 3 individuals, they were just Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators. After a moment, Jiang Hao walked over to her. He headed upstream along the river. He saw Xiao Li standing in front of Hong Yuye and talking happily. She even ate a piece of pastry from the table. The 3 people behind her stood in the pavilion and didn't dare speak. But they were curious. Jiang Xiao Li's senior sister seemed to be only at the late stage of the Foundation Establishment Realm. Her senior brother might not be much stronger. However, she didn't seem to understand Jiang Xiao Li's relationship with this late Foundation Establishment Realm cultivator. At first, Xiao Li called the woman's sister-in-law and corrected herself and called her senior sister. At that moment, they heard footsteps. When they turned to look, they only saw an ordinary-looking man. He was at the Golden Core realm. For a moment, they still felt that Jiang Xiao Li was the most formidable among them. Perhaps they didn't know how formidable she truly was. It wasn't that they looked down on Golden Core realm cultivators. It was just that Jiang Xiao Li was too terrifying. At that moment, Xiao Li also looked over. "Senior brother Jiang." She ran over to him. Jiang Hao looked at Xiao Li and took out some dried meat. He handed them to her. "Thank you, senior brother Jiang," Xiao Li said excitedly. "Why did you come here?" Jiang Hao asked softly. The blood-tide forest was not close to here, and it was not easy to get here. It was the spirit beast. Xiao Li carefully placed the dried meat on the table. The beast's influence can also be used here. Its friends on the road helped us find the way. Spirit beast? Jiang Hao was surprised. He also understood that the spirit beast was famous in the corpse realm. It wasn't that everyone knew the beast in this place, but anyone who didn't immo it was beaten up by Shaoli. Looking at the dragon pearl, Jiang Hao found that there was little power left inside. It seemed that Shaoli had not hesitated to use her powers all the way here. Chapter 798. It turns out we met a powerful senior. Xiao Li's unexpected arrival didn't have much impact on them. What Jiang Hao was more concerned about wasn't the trouble Xiao Li might bring, but whether it would anger Han Yuye. However, the plan was flawed. With the dragon pearl, Xiao Li was unrivaled in the corpse realm. She didn't need practice at all. It took some time for Jiang Hao to ask about what Xiao Li had done from the 3 Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators. There was no food left, so they didn't linger in the blood tide forever. After that, they captured a lightning beast and hurried here. They didn't explain it clearly, but Jiang Hao understood everything. For food, Xiao Li would go to great lengths. These things didn't matter. But now he knew that Xiao Li would always find her way to him, even if he set her free. That would bring trouble. Xiao Li sat beside Han Yuye and talked about everything she had seen along the way. Senior sister, I saw something strange under the trees, and it looked at me sneakily, Xiao Li said. It felt weird, so I glanced back at it, and then it ran away. I don't know what it was. While Xiao Li talked, Jiang Hao listened. Was there something strange under the blood-tide forest? It wasn't entirely impossible. Some places were simply inaccessible, whether during the night or the day. There was always a need to retreat somewhere safe. Even when a place appeared safe, it had lingering danger inside. If one avoided it, they'd be fine. Therefore, the eerie kind of danger always existed, but was outside the rules. If anyone didn't follow the blood-tide forest rules, they might encounter the danger head-on. Are you planning to stay here? Jiang Hao asked Bai Shuang and the other 2. The 3 were a bit nervous. This place wasn't the blood-tide forest. Once they left Jiang Shaoli, it would be very dangerous. The danger didn't just come from others. It was also from the environment. We need to help Senior Jiang Shaoli find food, Bai Shuang quickly said. Once they run out of their usefulness, they might be abandoned. That was most terrifying for them. Jiang Hao knew their concerns. You're overthinking. I just wanted to ask, don't you plan to seek opportunities? Seek opportunities? The 3 looked at each other. They thought that the opportunities here were for strong people and didn't dare to think about it. Yes, opportunities. Jiang Hao nodded. These 3 people were all on the verge of reaching the Golden Core Realm. As long as they obtained opportunities, they could ascend to the Golden Core Realm. There might be no one who ventured into the 1,000-feet mountain for opportunities since they were useless to them. Our cultivation is low, and we don't dare to take risks here, said Bai Shuang. Jiang Hao said, go on. There shouldn't be anyone here in the 1,000-feet mountain to trouble you. That made them feel awkward. How could a Golden Core Realm cultivator say such things? But they didn't dare to speak out or refuse. Don't worry. Senior brother doesn't lie, Xiao Li said. Han Yuye turned to look at Jiang Hao and smirked. Bai Shuang and the other 2 smiled bitterly. They had no choice but to leave. They felt that they were being pushed away. They had come all the way and faced hardships to get Xiao Li here, yet they were being abandoned now. The 3 took a few steps ahead and looked back at Xiao Li. They hoped she would tell them to stay. But in the end, Jiang Xiao Li didn't say anything. After leaving the pavilion, they walked cautiously away. The sky was clear, but disaster could strike at any moment. They were lucky. They had walked for half a day without any problems. Then they realized that their luck was not just good, it was extraordinary. Not long after, they saw a glowing tree. There were 9 fruits on the tree. There was no one around. It seems like it's about to ripen, Bai Shuang said. Will beasts be guarding them? Zhong Fahu asked worriedly. Doesn't seem like it, said a woman as she looked around. The 3 dared not relax and approached cautiously. Soon, they arrived at the tree. The fruits were ripe. They wanted to pluck them quickly and leave. However, at that moment, 2 auras approached. A man and woman's aura collided. The 2 fought. Fellow Taoist, I found it first, said the woman in gray robes. You must be joking. I was here first, said the man with a stubble. Bai Shuang and the other 2 trembled. They even found it difficult to move. At that moment, the two figures negotiated and went their separate ways. However, when they came down, they found 3 Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators standing there. Bai Shuang hurriedly said, "Please forgive us, seniors. We just happened to pass by and had no other intentions." "It's best that way," said the man with the stubble. In an instant, an intense pressure spread. However, just as the pressure was about to touch the 3, a purple aura circulated around them. In an instant, the man with stubble saw a pair of eyes. That gaze looked at him as if it could shake the heavens and earth. Instantly, the fire of his spirit burned. The man with stubble was terrified and instinctively took a few steps back. Fortunately, the fire of his spirit vanished. The woman in the gray robe beside him didn't feel anything, but she noticed something unusual. "Where are you 3 from?" she asked, but quickly realized her question was wrong and corrected herself. "Do you know anyone here?" "We followed a senior here. She's at a pavilion nearby," Bai Shuang said. "Ah, so you are here on behalf of those 2 seniors," said the man with the stubble and laughed. "Since you are here, we can all share. There is enough for everyone." He turned to the gray-robed woman. "What do you think?" The woman in gray robes quickly nodded. "Yes, that's right. So, should we split them 3 ways?" The 2 looked at Bai Shuang and the others. At that moment, they felt a bit strange, as if their status had changed. Their opponent's wariness was visible on their faces. What were they wary of? Jiang Shaoli? That was impossible. They were talking about 2 seniors, after all. The 2. In an instant, they realized their mistake. Jiang Shaoli's senior brother wasn't joking. He really wanted them to have opportunities here. What he said was true. No one would trouble them in the 1,000-Feet Mountain. They had encountered the most powerful seniors without even realizing it. Opportunities were right in front of them, and they had nearly missed it. After dividing the fruits, the 2 politely bid them farewell. Then they left. "Do you think we are being looked after by an unknown senior?" Bai Shuang asked. The other 2 nodded. They followed Jiang Shaoli to survive. Unexpectedly, they had run into opportunities with a senior's protection. Chapter 799 disappeared in the blink of an eye. At the 1,000-Feet Mountain, the 2 from the fallen immortal clan chased someone for a long time before finally locking onto their target. Throughout the pursuit, something felt strange. Jiang Shaoli's speed was unusually fast. They couldn't figure out how she could be this fast. It seemed like even demonic beasts couldn't escape her pursuit. The situation made them frown in confusion. Since they had begun chasing her, odd things kept happening. However, with things having come to this point, there was no turning back. The woman in a black robe was trailing behind. She was lost in thought. "Do you have more information?" the middle-aged man asked. "I heard that Smiling Sansheng is here," the woman in a black robe said. "Smiling Sansheng?" The middle-aged man frowned. "How did he get in? Can he get in at his cultivation realm?" Smiling Sansheng had been quite lively lately, but the fallen immortal clan didn't know much about him. They only knew his cultivation was high. So how did he manage to enter? The woman in the black robe didn't know either. Perhaps Smiling Sansheng wasn't as strong as they thought. No one had ever witnessed Smiling Sansheng engaging with powerful individuals. The 3 people hurried further inside. If they were not mistaken, Jiang Shaoli was nearby. In the evening, the 3 arrived at a riverbank, where a pavilion could be seen along the river's course. There were 3 people in the pavilion. It was Jiang Shaoli, a man and a woman. The man was in the middle stage of the Golden Core realm. The woman was in the late stage of the Foundation Establishment realm. The black-robed woman's side twitched. The 2 members of the fallen immortal clan strode forward. As long as Jiang Shaoli was here, they had to take her away. Jiang Hao was making tea while Shaoli was eating. Almost everything Jiang Hao had ended up in her belly. Her appetite was growing. It seemed she was growing and eating more and more. Fortunately, she had picked some fruits with rich spiritual energy nearby, which should be enough for a while. He had long noticed the 3 people by the riverbank. Some of them wanted to retreat. He didn't mind. They couldn't escape anyway. The black-robed woman reminded him of Feng Hua's avatar. Regardless of whether it was her or not, it would be confirmed shortly. Letting them escape now was pointless. They wouldn't get far anyway. In the past, they might have succeeded. But now it wasn't easy. "Who are you?" Xiao Li asked as she approached them. Han Yue sipped her tea. She was not very talkative. She spent her time listening to Xiao Li's stories. She would speak one word to Xiao Li's whole sentence. Jiang Hao would then remind Xiao Li to talk less and eat more. "Jiang Xiao Li," asked the middle-aged man from the fallen immortal clan. "That's me." Xiao Li nodded. "Our clan wants to invite you as a guest," said the young man of the fallen immortal clan. Xiao Li thought about it somberly. "Is it far? If it's too far, I need to ask my senior brother." Jiang Hao poured tea for Han Yue. He couldn't help but find it amusing that Xiao Li was actually thinking about the offer seriously. She truly believed that these people wanted to invite her as a guest. Jiang Hao looked up at the newcomers. One was in the Immortal Ascension platform, while the other one was at the peak of the Return to Void Realm. They were safe because they had 2 talismans on them. They were very powerful talismans. Even if Jiang Hao managed to take them, he couldn't learn them. The Fallen Immortal clan was remarkable. They possessed such methods. As for how they managed to find their way here, that wasn't surprising. After all, these people could find out about him from afar. It was remarkable. Unfortunately, these people were unlikely to speak about their clan's plans. Initially, Jiang Hao didn't intend to ask much, but since they wanted to take Xiao Li away, he ultimately had to step in. "What do you need Xiao Li for?" "Friend, what do you wish to know?" The middle-aged man felt that the person before him was not ordinary. Jiang Hao glanced at them. He activated the daily appraisal. He had wanted to save that ability to appraise the black-robed woman, but he wanted to find out what they were after for Xiao Li's sake. As for the woman in the black robe, he could ask about her at the gathering. Helion, member of the Fallen Immortal clan, in the Immortal Ascension realm. He came to the Corpse realm to complete a task for the clan and capture Jiang Xiao Li. The immortal seed is about to bloom, and watering it with her blood can make it bloom smoothly. Is the immortal seed about to bloom? Does it require Xiao Li's blood? Jiang Hao asked. This sudden question shocked Helion. Without hesitation, the power of the return to Void Realm gathered in his hand and struck toward the person in front of him. Boom! A palm strike erupted with immense force. Helion had expected to at least repel the opponent, but he didn't even manage to land his attack. A shadow of a mountain and sea suddenly appeared among them. A heavy aura emanated from the mountain and sea and pressed down on him. Boom! A single strike inflicted severe injuries on him. This terrifying power was not something from the return to Void Realm. Friend, there are no hard feelings between us, Helion said. Although Xiao Li calls me senior brother, I also happen to be her elder brother, said Jiang Hao as he stepped forward with his half-moon blade. If you act against her, I can't just sit and do nothing. He used the 5th form of the heavenly blade, Inquiry. Seeing the opponent wield his blade, Helion shouted, and the Immortal Ascension platform's power burst forth. In that case, friend, don't expect an easy time for me either. The Immortal Ascension platform's power emerged. The space distorted and an endless black sea manifested. The half-moon blade struck. Helion felt his heart shatter, and his primordial spirit was on the verge of collapse. Instead of dying right away, he chose to watch the person before him die alongside him. Crack! The heavenly cauldron shattered, and the distorted black sea enveloped Jiang Hao. At that moment, he brought out the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl. Subsequently, the space stabilized. Everything returned to normal. Helion watched in astonishment. Finally, his primordial spirit collapsed, and he died. Even in death, he couldn't understand what happened. Jiang Hao sighed. He struck twice more and casually took the stored treasure. Having done so, he headed toward the pavilion. He noticed that the other members of the Fallen Immortal clan were nowhere to be seen. When he asked Xiao Li, she said, they probably went home. They disappeared in the blink of an eye. Jiang Hao was speechless. Disappeared in the blink of an eye. Instinctively, he looked at Han Yue, who was still drinking her tea. Chapter 800. The Wrath of the Western Sexu. The two members of the fallen immortal clan had died, just like that. It didn't cause any commotion. Jiang Hao had thought he would need to take action, but he was surprised to find that they had already been dealt with. He didn't know why Hong Yuya had intervened, but whenever she intervened, it was assured death for the enemy. He felt a bit concerned about whether it was thoroughly handled. "Senior brother, should I go visit their place?" Xiaoli asked curiously. "No need." Jiang Hao sipped his tea calmly. "It's too far." They decided not to take you along and went back on their own. "That's a shame. I wanted to take the beast to see them too," Xiaoli said excitedly. "I wonder if the beast's influence would work well there. It should be quite useful here in this remote place." Jiang Hao looked at her but didn't say anything. Perhaps as Xiaoli grew older, she would understand why the beast's influence was so significant here. Xiaoli was still young and full of energy. Jiang Hao watched her. Hong Yuya was looking at her as well. "Did you act like this when you were young?" Hong Yuya suddenly asked. Jiang Hao said, "Maybe. When he was a child, he was always playing around and getting scolded. From the age of 4 or 5, he started cutting firewood and occasionally went out to play, but never knew why he couldn't play with the others. Perhaps at that time, he had lost his innocence." Jiang Hao couldn't help but sigh. He was already 36 years old. Perhaps he would never see the people he grew up with again. If you were so lively as a child, how come your enthusiasm had decreased so much? Hong Yi asked. "It's always good to be cautious," Jiang Hao said. He lived very carefully. When his cultivation realm increased, he inevitably became a bit conceited. So, he was reckless sometimes. Although he tried hard to control it, his state of mind was not good. That was the side effect of rapid advancement. He felt like he wanted to spar with someone of a similar realm and try the fifth form of Heavenly Blade once again. Hellion looked like he had reached the immortal ascension platform, but in reality, he only dared to use the power of the return to Void Realm. Once he used the immortal ascension platform, he would enter an endless Black Sea. He didn't understand what the Black Sea was. Based on what Old Man Corpse Sea had said, he knew the dangers of entering the corpse realm. There was a glimmer of hope of him surviving since he had left an imprint on Heavenly Steel Mountain. "Don't you find it boring?" Hong Yi looked at Xiaoli. "Are you happy with how you're living?" "No." Jiang Hao shook his head and answered truthfully. "Xiaoli and the Spirit Beast are the happiest I've seen them. I can't compare to them." "Wouldn't it be better to be carefree and happy?" Hong Yi asked. "It probably wouldn't. After all, I'm not young anymore," Jiang Hao said. Hong Yi was surprised. "How old are you?" "I'm 36, Jiang Hao said. Under normal circumstances, by the age of 36, people would have married and had children. That's quite old." Hong Yi chuckled and didn't say anything more. Jiang Hao fell silent. In the following days, Jiang Hao wandered around the 1,000-Feet Mountain with Xiao Li and Hong Yi. There were some strange places with extremely powerful auras along the way, which he didn't dare approach. Whether it was the Blood-Tide Forest or other places, they all had peculiarities. He couldn't be careless. He didn't know what was hidden inside. Perhaps the Old Man Corpse Sea would know something, but he couldn't ask anymore. The trip to the corpse realm had revealed quite a bit of information. At least he understood that there was a possibility for him to enter the corpse realm, even when it was closed. Secondly, he knew that the Old Man Corpse Sea could leave with the help of the end of all things. The corpse in the western region might also awaken soon. Apart from that, the ancient sage's page might reveal the connection between the corpse realm and the outside world. Xiaoli had also caught the attention of the fallen immortal clan, and it seemed the immortal seed was about to bloom. Over a month later, in early January, Jiang Hao noticed a reaction in the heaven, earth, and human yuan formations. They could leave now. They had traveled to many places by then. On the way, Jiang Hao remembered the charm goddess. He had tried to find her, but found no trace. During that time, he didn't see Guanzhong Fei and hadn't encountered Dole either. Dole's situation was very dangerous. Whether he could survive after leaving the realm was entirely up to fate. He had already done everything he could. "Senior, we should leave now," Jiang Hao said. After more than half a year, he entered the immortal ascension realm and obtained a lot of spirit stones. He was satisfied. Hong Ye looked up at the heaven, earth, and human yuan formation. Then, she leaped up and dashed toward the formation. Jiang Hao didn't know what she was planning to do. He wanted to instruct Xiao Li, but she had already soared into the sky. Jiang Hao quickly followed them. It might have been an illusion, but Xiao Li seemed to be freely swimming within the large formation. Her understanding of the formation surpassed an ordinary disciple's. Her talent was extraordinary. She was not inferior in talent to Mi Lingwei. At that moment, countless people chose to leave the corpse realm. Guan Zhongfei was one of them. He hadn't met Dole, so he had over 10,000 spirit stones. There were still some ores left. This time, he earned a lot of spirit stones. He was very satisfied. As he walked out the teleportation gate, he noticed several people waiting nearby. "Master," he said in greeting to the man in front. A man with white hair nodded. This time, the gains were not small, was it? Yes. Guan Zhongfei nodded. The location for the corpse realm flower of the divine rotation sect was not far from the corpse realm. There were a total of 12 peaks, and Guan Zhongfei emerged at the central peak. Senior members of the sect were waiting there. As a true disciple, he immediately caught their attention. "Junior brother Guan, it seems has made significant progress in your cultivation realm," said a man with a smile. Guan Zhongfei nodded with a smile. He had indeed encountered many opportunities. He noticed some teaching elders present. If he wasn't mistaken, there would be a storm brewing here shortly. 2 true disciples of the divine rotation sect died at the hands of smiling Sansheng, and all of this was tied to Dole from the Mountain River Valley sect. The Mountain River Valley sect wasn't far from their location, and perhaps it wouldn't be long before they demanded an answer. The Divine Rotation sect was a major sect in the western region, while the Mountain River Valley sect was just a small sect in the west. An ordinary inner-sect disciple like Dole would find it hard to escape punishment. After a short wait, Guan Zhongfei saw the people from his sect coming out one after another. However, the 2 teaching elders didn't find the people they were waiting for. Shortly after, they looked shocked and then angry. "Dole? Dole from the Mountain River Valley sect? Are you sure?" Angry voices reverberated all around. Many people were left puzzled. Guan Zhongfei sighed. He knew that Dole's problems had begun. It wasn't just the Divine Rotation sect. Other sects in the western region might be asking the same questions. Soon, Dole from the Mountain River Valley sect became a name remembered by numerous powerful individuals. Moreover, many immediately set out at night to demand justice. They would interrogate him to uncover the mastermind behind the scenes. Regardless of whether the culprit was revealed, his death was inevitable. Chapter 801. Dole has no choice, you. At the Cliff of Broken Hearts, Jiang Hao walked out from the corpse realm flower. 4 people had entered from the sect, but only 3 emerged. They were Jiang Hao, Xiao Li, and Zhuge Zheng. Yin Xuanyi from the Heavenly Gates sect hadn't come out. Jiang Hao knew why. How would smiling Sansheng's killing spree connect to him anyway? After that, he visited his master along with Xiao Li. His own situation wasn't much of his master's concern, but Xiao Li's circumstances would certainly be a point of interest. Jiang Hao stood by quietly with his head bowed. In the courtyard, Ku Wuchang glared at Xiao Li. "It didn't cultivate inside?" he asked. "I was hungry," Xiao Li muttered and bowed her head. Ku Wuchang stared at her. "Were you sleeping all the time inside as well?" "I was too hungry to sleep," Xiao Li said. Ku Wuchang fell silent for a long time. Xiao Li, with her head still down, seemed to realize she was in trouble. Jiang Hao glanced at her and stood quietly. The Cliff Master wouldn't ask him much, which was a good thing. After all, it was not easy to explain. After a long time, Ku Wuchang waved his hand. He gestured for Xiao Li to leave because he didn't want to see her anymore. Jiang Hao also wanted to leave, but the Cliff Master stopped him. "Do you have any orders for me, Master?" Was Xiao Li in danger inside? Ku Wuchang asked. Junior sister Xiao Li has exceptional talent and innate divine power, so Jiang Hao didn't continue. He wanted to say she swept away everything that stood in her way. No one was her match. She naturally didn't need to cultivate. Ku Wuchang was only concerned because he knew Xiao Li had exceptional talent. Otherwise, he wouldn't be worried. He sighed wearily. Jiang Hao also left. After spending so much time in the corpse realm, he needed to check his house. He wanted to see if Gui would arrive soon. He also needed to be careful of Fenghua. He finally found the black-robed woman he encountered inside. She tried desperately to find a way out, but couldn't do it. Jiang Hao had appraised her. Indeed, she was Fenghua's avatar. She had been trying to shock him and Xiao Li by appearing inside. However, she ultimately failed. She wasn't afraid of death at first, but she was terrified now when she realized she couldn't get out of the realm. She wanted to spread the information she had found. Unfortunately, everything was in vain. Jiang Hao talked with her curiously for a while, but gained nothing in the end. It seemed the avatar's knowledge was limited. Thus, she died just like that. Her storage treasure was also empty. Everyone from the fallen immortal clan had nothing. They were quite poor. Jiang Hao didn't rush to leave. He observed the peach tree. The fruits were ripe by now. He wondered who had eaten the fruits. He would have to wait until October of this year for the incarnation. He had sufficient spirit stones, so there was nothing to worry about. After that, he sat on the floor of his room and calmed his state of mind. He also waited for Guan Zhongfei's message. It shouldn't take long for him to make a choice. The next day, Jiang Hao finally sensed the ring. It seemed Guan Zhongfei had made his decision. With that, he relaxed a bit and waited. Starting today, he would consolidate his mental state and attend to the spirit herb garden peacefully. Apart from these tasks, he also needed to check how long it would take for the heavenly fragrance Dao flower to give some more bubbles. If there was nothing unexpected, it should take 11 days. By that account, it would take 3 years for him to accumulate 200 bubbles. It's going to take quite some time, but ITLL passed quickly. Planting more spirit herbs will take less time, he sighed and got up to head to the spirit herb garden. His daily, peaceful routine began yet again. Dole hesitated when he found out that he could leave. Someone had informed him that the powerful individual who had rescued him had killed many people. No one could find that person, so everyone would blame him for everything. Many of the individuals who were killed were talented disciples from Western sections. It was evident that they would find someone to blame. Dole knew that the person who had warned him of this had good intentions. He had even told him not to leave the corpse realm. Leaving would mean death. However, staying here would also mean death. Although he appeared to have a choice on the surface, he actually didn't have one. If it weren't for that senior, perhaps he would have died long ago. He was alive just by chance, so he still wanted to return and live his life. Even if he faced death, he could do it with certainty. What saddened him was that he had plenty of spirit stones from selling the ores, but he hadn't been able to split them with his 2 team members. He wanted to leave everything to them before his death. However, he found the mine deserted. The spirit herbs were still there. It seemed someone had left the place for a while, but hadn't returned. Or perhaps they had met some danger. Dole didn't know what happened to smiling Sansheng. He waited there for a long time, but no one came. That was disappointing. Guan Zhongfei might also face a grim future because of the incident related to him. Until the end, he waited at the entrance of the mine. He waited for one more day before packing up the spiritual herbs and leaving. If possible, he wanted to leave some of it for them. He feared he wouldn't get the chance in the future. He needed to figure out what to do with so many spirit stones. When he emerged, his fellow sect members looked over at him and stepped back. They kept their distance. Somewhat puzzled, Dole kept his head down. He didn't dare look them in the eye. He exchanged greetings with some seniors and left quickly. He knew that soon everyone would know about the incident in the corpse realm. He might be left out or even observed carefully. His sect couldn't afford to offend powerful people. Sure enough, the next day, a senior brother found him. He told Dole not to leave the sect for a while. He also told Dole that it was inevitable that other sects would be here to meet him. Many sects had already sent requests for a visit. Dole understood that, despite his disappointment and fear, he could only face his fate calmly. He had no choice. Despite achieving the Golden Core realm, he didn't have a high status within the sect. Nobody paid much attention to him. He had helped a senior and earned a slot in exchange. That was why he was in the corpse realm. But that was it. He could only wait for the other sects to visit and declare his fate. It would be better if they could do it early. At least, he wouldn't suffer too much. But who would choose to die when they had a reason to live? Dole had intended to go out of his house and help the juniors, but he dared not step out. He thought that if he associated with them, then they would get hurt too. One day, a senior sister found him. She was among the top 10 disciples in the sect. Her visit surprised Dole, but it also made him curious. A woman in a purple dress stood before Dole's house. "You're the same Dole that everyone has been talking about." "Yes." "Greetings, Senior Sister Lynn," said Dole respectfully. "Many powerful individuals have arrived in the sect. Aren't you planning to escape?" Senior Sister Lynn asked. "One should take responsibility for their actions. If I leave, it will only cause trouble for the sect." "Ha! You can't escape even if you want to, can you? If you could, I don't think you'd be here acting all noble." Senior Sister Lynn chuckled. Dole remained silent. It was true. He couldn't escape. He had to accept it. He was trying to act honorable to console himself. He didn't know if this was a tragedy. Chapter 802. It was Dole today. Tomorrow. Them Dole listened quietly with a bitter smile. "Senior Sister Lynn, please spare me." He still hoped to survive. But everyone knew that no one would give him that chance. Since that was the case, why bother begging for something impossible? At least for now, it seemed a bit like not causing trouble for his sect. It was a bit of a contribution. "I've understood the whole situation. It isn't your fault, and the sect shouldn't restrict your freedom. But the sect is small, and there's no way around it. So, I wanted to ask you, is there anything you want to do but can't?" Senior Sister Lynn kindly asked. Dole breathed a sigh of relief. He had something he needed to do. "Yes." "What is it?" Senior Sister Lynn asked curiously. "I met 2 people in the corpse realm. We were mining together to earn some spirit stones, but they disappeared in the last few months. I couldn't deliver their share of spirit stones to them." "How many spirit stones?" 70,000. "If you're willing to help me, I can give you 20,000 spirit stones. Please find a way to deliver the rest to them. There are also some ores left." 70,000? Senior Sister Lynn was surprised. 70,000 was not a small amount. A golden core realm cultivator with so many spirit stones was still willingly offering them to someone else? Was he truly this selfless? "Sure." Senior Sister Lynn nodded with a smile. Dole hesitated, but eventually agreed. He might lose the chance, so even if she took the spirit stones for herself, he had no choice but to agree. Once he was taken away, his possessions would be confiscated anyway. In the end, Dole gave her 70,000 spirit stones and some ores. After receiving them, she left. Dole was left standing alone. He didn't know if he had been played. He could only quietly wait for people from other sects to arrive. 7 days later, people from a major sect came to visit. Many people knew the reason. The visit had to do with Dole. Dole was so powerful in the realm, but now, it's all so tragic. Yeah, although I didn't enter, I know that for someone at the Golden Core realm to act so arrogantly in front of a primordial spirit realm wouldn't be taken lightly. It's beyond his capabilities. His downfall is unavoidable. In truth, Dole is innocent. He has no choice. Don't say such things. What can our sect do anyway? Sure. How can you say that? The people of the Mountain River Valley sect were ready to do what needed to be done. When they were about to hand over Dole, another sect arrived. At that moment, they started discussing. Dole thought he would face his death today, but he didn't expect them to discuss his fate for 7 consecutive days. People from nearby sects also arrived. Dole's fate became even more difficult to decide with more people present. They planned to conduct an interrogation outside the Mountain River Valley sect. When Dole was taken away by 2 senior brothers, he felt despair. He had prepared himself to be taken away, but he wasn't prepared for an interrogation. Many people in the sect knew him. Some juniors looked up to him. He had always been reliable. He now felt ashamed. This was a fatal blow to him. At that moment, he even thought of harming himself just to avoid this. At least, he wouldn't have to endure such humiliation. However, it was too late. His power was suppressed, and all he could do was stand there. Outside the valley, on a high platform, Dole stood in the middle. He was surrounded by 7 powerful people. Among them was a middle-aged man with some white hair who glared at Dole. "Did you cause the death of my disciple?" the man asked. Dole lowered his head and didn't dare speak. "Who murdered them?" the middle-aged man asked again. Still, Dole remained silent. The man raised a whip, charged with thunder, and lashed out. It tore Dole's flesh. Dole was in excruciating pain. "Speak. Perhaps we can spare your life," said an icy voice of a woman. Seeing that Dole remained unyielding, she attacked and left several bloody holes in Dole's thighs. At that moment, attacks and spells hurt Dole from all sides. His agonizing screams rang out. He couldn't take it anymore. He muttered something about smiling Sansheng, but it was only related to mining and nothing else. It wasn't what they wanted to hear. The techniques surged again. It was going to shatter Dole's soul. People from the Mountain River Valley sect felt regretful. Senior Sister Lin looked at the platform and shook her head sadly. Their sect was truly incompetent. They allowed these people to treat Dole in such a way at their own doorstep. What could a disciple like her do? Far away, Guan Zhongfei observed everything in hiding. He didn't dare approach Dole. He could only watch silently. As he had expected, Dole couldn't escape danger. Even if he wanted to give him his share of spirit stones, it was too late. The screams resonated everywhere. The people of the Mountain River Valley sect were silent. At first, they were watching the spectacle, but soon they felt as if they were watching themselves being flogged. They realized that the sect wouldn't stand up for any of them. It was Dole today. Tomorrow it could be them. His wretched screams struck their hearts. It made them feel sad and frustrated. However, no matter how much he screamed, the people of the Mountain River Valley sect didn't act. It disturbed Yin Yuezhi, who awoke from her meditation. She immediately stood up. "Oh no, it's time." She had been waiting. Then, she had become so engrossed in her meditation that she was late. The screams rang in her ears once again. She turned to see a man chained on a platform. He was injured and bleeding. His soul was almost at its brink. "Dole, I'll ask you once again. What information do you have about that person?" shouted an angry voice. "Dole?" Yin Yuezhi was shocked. At that moment, the whip of thunder was about to fall again. "Dole, you asked for this. Your death is your own doing." In an instant, the onlookers knew Dole was doomed. With that strike, he wouldn't live for much longer. Guan Zhongfei sighed. The people of the Mountain River Valley sect also couldn't bear it. Dole's vision was blurry. He knew he couldn't hold on for much longer. However, just when everyone thought the whip of thunder was about to strike, slender hands grabbed it and stopped it. The sudden turn of events surprised everyone. It made the middle-aged man even angrier. "How dare you meddle in affairs you know nothing about?" Yin Yuezhi's anger flared as she looked at Dole, who was fatally injured. She had almost failed in her task. These people had almost ruined her chance of getting that book. A coldness emerged. She turned to look at the middle-aged man. Then she vanished. Under everyone's gaze, she reappeared in front of the middle-aged man. Ink appeared out of thin air and covered the middle-aged man. With a bang, he was reduced to ashes. Those who had wanted to act watched in astonishment. This technique was of the Astronomical Academy. But why would someone from the Astronomical Academy appear here? Immortal, this is our personal matter. No matter how influential the Academy is, they cannot interfere in this, said the woman from before. At that moment, an elder said, "The Astronomical Academy is outstanding, but they can't harass others like this." Guan Zhongfei was astonished. Why would someone from the Astronomical Academy come here? It was impossible. Chapter 803. I came for the benefits you. Yin Yuezhi felt so irritated and angry that she had the urge to end these people. She was getting angrier by the second. When she heard the woman speak, she almost lashed out. She was almost about to use her ultimate move to exterminate them. At the peak of her fury, she restrained herself. She didn't feel any better as she looked at the people gathered there. Instead, she felt even worse. She glanced at the heavily wounded Dole and the astonished crowd behind him. She looked furious. Anyone could push her off the edge with a simple word. It was quite unusual. After a while, she sensed something as if witnessing a transformation from the depths of her soul. She saw a scene of bloodshed. It was the arrogance of youth and a question posed to the heavens. The book in her hand began to emit a faint light. The contents flashed through her mind like a whispered song. It was as though the words were paving her path toward her cultivation. Yin Yuezhi felt surprised and sighed a little. The opportunity she had sought for a long time had been impossible to find. Yet, in the midst of her fury, she saw it. It was a revelation that set her on her path. What she thought she needed from the ancient and modern book was no longer necessary. She sighed heavily under the questioning gaze of the crowd, but she didn't speak. At that moment, several powerful auras surged from the side. They were grandmasters. They were stronger than her. "We need an answer from you, immortal. We know the Astronomical Academy is extraordinary, but we are also not to be trifled with," said the middle-aged man. His imposing aura spread wide. The tremendous pressure shook Yin Yuezhi's mind. For a mere golden core realm cultivator, they had amassed such powers. What kind of hostility required such drastic actions? However, it did nothing for how angry she felt. Her rage was like a deluge that had burst the dam in her heart. Her aura soared. An immortal intent was revealed deep within her. However, with that intent, her anger surged. It was like a roaring fire. "Inner demons," Yin Yuezhi murmured softly. There wasn't much resistance to her power. After all, whatever she did came from her heart. Her inner and outer demons were the same. "Do you really want an answer? Fine. Tell me what explanation you want to hear. Do you want me to explain why I killed someone just now? Or are you looking for something else?" She asked softly. Her aura changed again. It transformed from white to black. Everything merged into one. Dark and light. Saving someone or killing them. Her demons merged. There was no good or evil. Dole killed disciples of our sect. We want to question him in peace. Why did you stop us for no reason? Why did you attack our people? Does the Astronomical Academy want to be enemies with all our sects? Did you really think we wouldn't dare to lay hands on you to defend ourselves? Many voiced out their questions in contempt. These words rang in Yin Yuezhi's mind and ignited her fury further. The inner demon began to spread around her as if it wanted to drag her into itself. Her fury led to evil thoughts in her mind. She wanted to annihilate everything. Yin Yuezhi didn't act. She looked at the people in front of her. After a while, she took out an ancient scroll. There were 2 words on it. Astronomical scroll. "Please give us a straightforward response," an elder asked. "Okay." Yin Yuezhi nodded and looked at the puzzled elder. "The Astronomical Academy agrees to be an enemy with your sections. We will annihilate you. So, please inform your respective sects about this. In a month, the Astronomical Academy will come for you and destroy you." At that moment, Yin Yuezhi threw the scroll into the air, and an ancient aura swept through the surroundings. Yin Yuezhi, who was already enveloped by her inner demon, looked at everyone around her and declared, "Dole is under the protection of the Astronomical Academy. If you touch him, the Astronomical Academy will be your enemy. Now, state your names and your sections. The Astronomical Academy gives you a month's time to prepare for the inevitable." The elder who spoke earlier was incredulous. He looked fearful. The Astronomical Scroll, everyone knew what it was. It represented the entire Astronomical Academy. How is it possible that such a powerful sect was taking action to protect someone like Dole at all costs? Who actually was Dole? Guan Zhongfei looked from afar. His heart raced. He had no idea what was happening. Someone from the Astronomical Academy not only had appeared out of thin air, but she also had brought along the one thing that represented her entire sect. She had asked for everyone's names and sects while threatening to annihilate them all. It felt surreal. Dole looked at the people before him in astonishment. He didn't understand what was happening. "Senior, we were just passing by and gathered here when we saw a crowd. We were here by mistake. Please forgive us." "Well, step back," said someone. Some of the people from the crowd retreated. They didn't dare to say anything further. The Astronomical Scroll had appeared. Even if their sect's disciples had died in the corpse realm, a war with one of the major sects was dangerous. Who would dare to fight a major sect just for the sake of a few disciples? The elder also smiled weakly and admitted that it had been a mistake and that they had got the wrong person. He apologized profusely. Yin Yuezhi didn't pay attention to these people. She knew their current retreat was only temporary. But as long as she held her ground, many would retreat. Nearly overwhelmed by evil thoughts, she composed herself and sensed that there was an old woman who absolutely wanted to kill Dole. If given a chance, she would act. She would have acted already if the situation allowed it. Time was running out. Yin Yuezhi looked at Dole. "I'll give you two choices." "Please go on, Senior," Dole said. Yin Yuezhi looked at Dole calmly, but her eyes were blood red. "After I give in to my enlightenment, my inner demon will be unleashed. Once that happens, I won't be able to spare you. The first choice is to immerse you within my inner demon. If I succeed in overcoming the demon, you'll gain immense benefits. You'll share my success in the cultivation path. However, if I fail, it'll perish, and so will you. The second choice is that I can exclude you from this and leave you be. However, there are so many people here who will risk offending the Astronomical Academy just to kill you. I will seek help from the Academy and provide you with a treasure for protection. But that'll be uncertain. The Academy might not arrive in time to help you. Both these choices have their own gains and losses. It's up to you. Will you choose to face life and death with me, or will you choose to face it alone? If I choose to face it alone, will they refrain from attacking you, Senior?" Dole asked. Yin Yuezhi was stunned. Her rage seemed to dissipate a bit. She looked wise and ancient. She shook her head. "Don't worry about me. I came here for the benefits anyway." Chapter 804. Hoping to meet the Senior You. At the Astronomical Academy, Jing Dajiang sat under a tree and enjoyed the cool breeze while sipping his coffee. Next to him were two elderly men. "That young girl is quite dangerous," said the one with a white beard. Asked around about her. "It seems she has been in the academy since very young, but she's a bit distant from others," said Jing Dajiang, and chuckled while eating some peanuts. "But it's all right for now. She won't be a problem. She still lacks opportunities which aren't easy to find. It might take 10 or even 100 years to take another step forward. When she gets there, it'll lend her a hand. You gave her the astronomical scroll. What if it creates conflict with other sects?" asked the beardless old man. "Conflict with other sects?" Jing Dajiang laughed. "Do we look like pushovers? Do they look that tough? If they dare to engage in a fight with us, why would we back down? As long as that young girl remains tough, even major sects like the Clear Sky School or the Bright Moon sect would have to think seriously about starting a war, let alone small Western sections. The seniors from the major sects will have to step in to defuse the situation. Don't worry, nobody dares to fight us, except maybe the Mountain Sea Sword sect." The two elders nodded. That'd make sense. After a while, a disciple entered their space. The disciple was dressed in blue and white academy robes. He looked scholarly and held a fan in his hand. "Good morning, elders," he said in greeting. "What's the matter?" Jing Dajiang asked. "Senior's sister, Yin, has fallen into the inner demon," said the young disciple. Jing Dajiang and the other two were surprised. "So soon? Where did she find the opportunity?" asked the bearded elder. "It seems she lost herself in anger, and then her immortal intent manifested." "Her immortal intent appeared?" Jing Dajiang frowned slightly. "What does she plan to do?" "She intends to ascend to the immortal ascension platform within her inner demon." "Nonsense. In fact, there's a possibility of success. Do you think you know this better than me?" The newcomer bowed. Senior sister Yin did something extraordinary. She took a golden core realm cultivator into her inner demon. This person might aid her in her success. Although senior sister Yin only wanted to protect him, she unknowingly laid a possibility for her path to immortality. This'll also benefit the golden core realm cultivator. She took someone into her inner demon? That is quite bold. Jing Dajiang chuckled. His name is Dole. He is of average talent and is good at formations. He sometimes thinks he is inferior to others, but has a defining quality that most people lack: pure kindness. Senior sister Yin took the astronomical scroll to protect him. This is an opportunity for both her and the Golden Core Realm cultivator, said the newcomer. Is the situation dangerous? Yes. Our people haven't acted yet. This is an opportunity for everyone. Intervening might mean that they can help the two survive, but might also increase the chance of failure for what senior sister Yin intends to do. Jing Dajiang fell silent for a moment. Then he asked about the ancient pages. It seems it's in the west. According to some seniors, the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment might have attracted the pages to her. The Bright Moon sect has the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. The Clear Sky School has a sage. What does our sect have? The newcomer lowered his head and fell silent. Jing Dajiang didn't ask further. He had retired, and these matters were of no concern to him. The only thing he cared about was meeting that senior again. Unfortunately, apart from the book title, there was no further news about him. After the newcomer left, the three enjoyed the peanuts for a while. Feeling increasingly bored as they ate, Jing Dajiang finally stood up. It has been a long time since I went out, hasn't it? Why? Do you want to go out? The bearded elder asked. I'm going to go out for a stroll. Jing Dajiang got up. It was too boring to stay here day after day. In the southern region, Baizhu led Xiao Yi to the Heavenly Note sect. Princess, you come here quite often, said Xiao Yi. No, I don't, said Baizhu hurriedly. Please, Aunt Xiao, don't say such unlucky things. This'll be our last visit. Xiao Yi was puzzled. Why are you so afraid of this place yet insist on coming here every time? Because this is the south. I plan to go west. I want to meet the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. Maybe you'll find her there. Baizhu smiled warily. Are you happy, princess? Of course. Leaving the southern region will make me even happier. If we can get used to the west, we won't even come back here. What if your brothers want to see you? Let them come to the west to visit me then. Besides, my life is almost over. In 100 years or so, they'll die. They don't need to worry about me anymore. Death meant the end of worries. Xiao, you didn't know what to say for a moment. It probably wouldn't really end. The princess was not an ordinary person. Although she hadn't seen the princess in action, she seemed quite extraordinary. As for her claim of being the first genius of the royal family, that remained to be seen. Baizhu spoke to the guards as they neared the entrance of the Heavenly Note sect. I am Baizhu of the Black Heaven sect. I'm here to meet Liang Hao of the Cliff of Broken Hearts. Here is my letter for your reference. The letter was provided by the Black Heaven sect, which allowed her to visit the Heavenly Note sect as a guest. Baizhu also handed over a few spirit stones to them for everything to go smoothly. She didn't have much else, but she had plenty of spirit stones. If she offered them a few, it would definitely make her visit much easier. Of course. Please follow me, said the guard after accepting the spirit stones. She was taken to the guest reception area. The guard then asked someone to fetch Jiang Hao. With spirit stones to pave the way, everyone was happy. At the Cliff of Broken Hearts, Jiang Hao had waited for Gui to arrive for nearly a month. After handing over the items to her, he could go about his own affairs. As for Dole's situation, it all depended on luck. He had offended too many people this time. Even if Zhang was outstanding, she was just one person. She might not be able to protect Dole alone. Even if Xing had gotten involved, it would have been the same. No matter what he had to offer, he couldn't amass the power of the entire Astronomical Academy or the Bright Moon sect. That would require immense leverage, which Jiang Hao didn't have. Even a top-ranking disciple couldn't manage something like that. It was almost impossible for Dole to live a peaceful life. It would be difficult to survive for him. With a sigh, Jiang Hao stopped overthinking. After that, he arrived at the guest reception area. This was the second time he had directly traded with the other party. He didn't know if it would have any impact on him. Fortunately, it won't be as frequent. It's been too long since I saw you last, friend Jiang, said Baizhu with a smile. Jiang Hao politely said, indeed. Jiang Hao handed over the box containing the ancient and modern book. Friend Jiang, aren't you going to the west? Baizhu suddenly asked. Jiang Hao shook his head. That's a pity, Baizhu said with a regretful smile. Chapter 805. Appraising the heavenly fragrance Tao flower, Jiang Hao simply responded with a friendly smile. He wouldn't go to the western region unless he needed to. It was not only dangerous there, but also had no benefits. With the corpse that was going to awaken there, it was dangerous. The corpse realm had closed, and Old Man Corpse might have already gotten out. There was a high probability of conflict in the west. The ancient and modern book would attract a lot of attention. The probability of the end of all things being there was quite high. In the gathering next time, perhaps he could remind Zhang of the new developments. Apart from that, there was also the fallen immortal clan. The immortal seed was about to bloom. Something would definitely happen there. He just didn't know who would target the fallen immortal clan next. Perhaps it would be the Xianyuan clan, but the present Xianyuan clan wasn't strong enough. Even with the Grand Earth Emperor, it was not enough. The Grand Earth Emperor, like the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment, required time to grow more powerful. These things couldn't be achieved overnight. Friend Jiang, is there anything you want to ask me? Baizhu kindly asked. Jiang Hao shook his head. He didn't need to know anything right now. Just focusing on his cultivation was enough. As long as it wasn't something that could destroy the surrounding environment, it wouldn't affect him much. After glancing around, Baizhu discreetly took out a dozen or so spirit stones and handed them over to him. Jiang Hao felt strange receiving the spirit stones. Was this the first time someone had used spirit stones to get on his good side? Before, he used to be the one who would offer spirit stones to others to gain their favor. Unknowingly, he had become someone who others wanted to keep on their good side. A dozen or so spirit stones were not too bad, so he accepted them. Friend, the path to becoming an immortal is not easy, but being happy is the most important. Never give up on yourself. If you're angry with someone, you can learn a curse. It helps vent your anger without much risk, said Baizhu. She understood that the fate of the southern region lay in the hands of this person. Jiang Hao looked confused. He didn't understand what she meant. Baizhu smiled. She thought he was unaware that the fate of the southern region lay in his hands. That might make him feel a bit safer. Then, I won't stay any longer. Goodbye, Baizhu politely said. She quickly left. She hoped this would be her last trip to this sect. This person seemed harmless, but it was always better never to meet again. Jiang Hao bid farewell and saw Baizhu off. There was a chance that she was heading to the Lawless Tower. I wonder how many spirit stones she would have to spend there. Returning to the spirit herb garden, Jiang Hao resumed his routine. The matters of the corpse realm were done, and the people who had come for it were gradually leaving. The Heavenly Gate sect had brought many people, but only half were present as they prepared to leave. At first, they had planned to leave 3 days later. However, 5 more people had died. The Heavenly Gate sect was furious. They demanded an explanation and compensation from the Heavenly Note sect. The next day, they left calmly. Lu Xingqian came to tell him that whatever had happened had caught his interest. Jiang Hao was curious. How was the matter being handled? They made exorbitant demands, so the law enforcement hall investigated the issue. They found that our sect was innocent in this. The one who had done it turned out to be the Heavenly Gate sect's own people. Then, they apologized and left. Lu Xingqian chuckled. Jiang Hao couldn't believe it. He didn't expect the Heavenly Gate sect to be so cunning. But the Heavenly Note sect wasn't any better. Despite everyone keeping a low profile within the Heavenly Note sect, anyone would turn an enemy outside. The Heavenly Gate sect's matter wasn't disclosed to the public. On the surface, it still appeared as though the Heavenly Note sect had killed someone. Although they provided an explanation that it was the work of someone from the Great Thousand God sect, everyone was still suspicious. When the members of the Divine Corpse sect prepared to leave, they met Zhuang Yuzhen one last time. They offered to free him so he could return with them, but he refused. He said he had become a waste and didn't want to cause trouble for the sect. He left everything to the sect master and his disciples now. Zhuang Yuzhen stayed permanently in the Lawless Tower. It wasn't that he didn't want to leave, but he had no way out. The Divine Corpse sect was no longer his home. What used was an early-stage primordial spirit realm cultivator like him to them. He was less useful than many junior disciples. So, he couldn't return. After learning about it, Jiang Hao gave him a pot of good wine and meat. At that time, Wu Yang also revealed everything he knew. Finally, Bai Zhu paid him a ransom and sent him away from the lawless tower. His location was unknown. Everyone had their own matters to deal with. They also had their own choices. Some gained opportunities because of it, while others lay far from home. The world was like that. Most times, one didn't know if their decisions were right or wrong until the result happened. The only thing to do was to stick to your choices and believe in yourself. Early in February, the Heavenly Gate sect and the Divine Corpse sect departed. This time, Jiang Hao didn't meet many of their people. The Heavenly Note sect also didn't have any conflicts with them. Another half a month passed. Zhuge Zheng came to bid him farewell. Friend Zhuge, travel safely, Jiang Hao said. Thank you. My senior brother told me to learn from you, Zhuge Zheng said with a smile. Learn what from me? Jiang Hao was puzzled. He has already become an immortal. When he saw you, he felt your serenity and tranquility. It was like a calm, ancient well that transcended worldly matters, Zhuge Zheng said truthfully. He said someone like you only lacks an opportunity to soar to great heights. While my talent is good, my heart is not pure enough. Otherwise, my cultivation wouldn't have been so slow. Jiang Hao was surprised, but didn't pay much attention to it. There was nothing to hide. The state of one's mind was perceived differently by different people. After that, Zhuge Zheng left. On the same day, people from the Mountain Sea Sword sect departed too. They were the friendliest with the Heavenly Note sect, just like the Bright Moon sect used to be. He still remembered Su Bai when he had visited the sect. He was truly exceptional. Unfortunately, he didn't have Zhuge Zheng's luck. In his view, Su Bai had been even more exceptional than Zhuge Zheng when he arrived. However, the latter had an exceptional opportunity and took the first step. All this was just speculation. Jiang Hao didn't know what cultivation realm Su Bai was in. Around early March, Jiang Hao stared at the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. He noticed that there were new flower buds just forming on the stem. This worried him a bit. Once it matured, it would cause a commotion. However, it was also a good thing because Hong Yuye and Elder Baiji would be pleased. Hong Yuye would stop pestering him, and Elder Baiji might send him more treasures. What are you looking at, master? The spirit beast asked as it wiped its drool from its mouth. Jiang Hao glanced at the beast and appraised the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. Heavenly fragrance Dao flower seedling. At the beginning of the primordial chaos, a flower was born in the world. After numerous years, the heavenly fragrance Dao flower bore fruit, then dropped seeds, and this is one of the seeds that germinated and broke through the soil. It has started budding with the Hongmeng energy as its guide. It allows the flower to be infused with the will of the primordial chaos. It will evolve in the yin-yang space and manifest the 3,000 great Dao. During this process, it emits a fragrance, and its spiritual energy will nourish the surrounding beings. Watering it with a bowl of pure water once a day will make it grow faster. Chapter 806. The journey will benefit you unimaginably. Looking at the feedback of the heavenly fragrance Dao flower, Jiang 1AO was surprised. He didn't expect that it would still need the guidance of the Hongmeng purple energy. He coincidentally possessed it, but it was rare. Shall I do it? After thinking for a moment, Jiang Hao decided to do it. This had no downside for him. Perhaps he could even gain something from it. Moreover, he could find out if he would get more bubbles from it. The purple energy emerged from his hands and gradually entered the flower. At that moment, the flower revealed many meridians, and the purple energy flowed like running water into them. After a while, a fragrance wafted out of the flower. It was refreshing and invigorating. It began to spread spiritual energy around. The spirit beast excitedly said, "Master, this is great. I am satisfied." Jiang Hao got up and watered the plant. He went about his daily routine. There was no news of any gathering, so it was enough to just take care of the present things. He checked on Chu Chuan and the others. Since the one with the Heavenly Dao Foundation establishment was in the west, Chu Chuan must have headed there. He had already grasped the basics of the heavenly blade. The fifth form could also be integrated into the previous sword techniques, which would benefit someone like Chu Chuan. He was someone who never accepted defeat. He was a determined person. Such sword techniques were fitting for him. As for Lin Ji, he needed something else. At the spiritual herb garden, Jiang Hao saw Cheng Chou. His cultivation progress wasn't fast. Even after several years, there were no signs of a breakthrough. Chu Chuan had already reached the late stage and was working toward the peak stage. He was curious about how Han Ming was doing. Jiang Hao cared about Han Ming. After cultivating for several years and encountering several opportunities, he should be showing signs of advancing to a new realm. Xiao Li had given up on herself, and her master let her do as she pleased. But Han Ming was different. He had good innate talent, worked hard, and had good opportunities. He had become one of the most promising people among his peers. Han Ming was the only hope for the Cliff of Broken Hearts. Senior brother Han went to perform the sect's tasks, Cheng Chou said. Jiang Hao nodded and then asked Cheng Chou if he had any difficulties with his cultivation. He tried to explain the problems in as much detail as possible in the Spirit Her Garden, so anyone who was coming in could listen in. For a while, some Foundation Establishment realm cultivators hesitated, but eventually came over to listen to the discussion. Some would ask 1 or 2 questions, and Jiang Hao answered all questions in detail. This was why they wanted to come to the garden. However, they also hesitated because of the blood vow path. It was widely known that Jiang Hao cultivated the blood vow path. His kindness was not without reason. If they listened, they would have to pay a price. But they didn't know when that day would come. The benefits were genuine. Some were willing to pay the price, while others wanted to receive the benefits before deciding. Jiang Hao didn't care about that. He was simply helping out and mostly wanted Cheng Chou to succeed. This was to prepare him to reach the Golden Core realm. Cheng Chou lacked sufficient innate talent, and the difficulty of the Golden Core realm was extremely high. If he understood enough and his cultivation was solid enough, then the difficulty would be greatly reduced. As for the final result, it all depended on one's luck. After that, Jiang Hao's days passed quietly. The sect hadn't had any conflicts with anyone lately, and the people in the Lawless Tower were busy with their own affairs. Managing the heavenly fragrance Dao flower with the purple energy didn't bring about more bubbles. Chu Chuan had already received the complete instruction in sword techniques. 6 months later, around early September, Chu Chuan found him. Senior brother Jiang, I want to leave the mountain, Chu Chuan said. Jiang Hao felt quite sentimental. He hadn't expected Chu Chuan to bring this up willingly. Why the hurry? He asked. He had intended for Chu Chuan to stay until he reached the Golden Core realm, at least. I want to go out to see and experience the hardships of the cultivation world. Only then can I grow faster. I feel like my growth is stunted here. So I want to go out, Chu Chuan said. Jiang Hao understood that his last trip outside had made him yearn for the outside world even more. After hesitating for a while, Jiang Hao said, Where do you want to go? I haven't thought about it. You'll decide along the way, Chu Chuan said. Jiang Hao looked at him. Then head east first. Huh? Chu Chuan was confused. Wasn't that too far away? With his cultivation, it would take hundreds of years even if he managed to reach there. When they went there before, it had been a matter of months because the sect had spent many resources to get them there. Chu Chuan, at the Foundation Establishment realm, had neither special treasures nor strength to reach there in a very short time. If he could reach there in 100 years, that would be considered quite fast. Just set your sights to the east. The journey will be slow, but ITLL be better. This journey will be enough for your advancement. When you reach the east and look back, you'll find a return journey to be much easier, Jiang Hao said. Chu Chuan looked eager. East. Chu Jie was still in the eastern region. It had been a long time since he had seen her. He hesitated. But, can I really do it? Jiang Hao looked at Chu Chuan. Young people should be more eager. Don't worry about the distance or the time ITLL take. Just take the path with your sword. Just ride your sword against the waves and compete with all living beings. Each step you take will be boundless if you set your sights on the goal. This journey will give you unbelievable benefits. Chu Chuan was stunned. He looked at the person before him with emotion. It seemed his senior brother was indeed exceptional. This was something Chu Chuan had never considered before. In front of Lord Beast and senior sister Shaoli, he seemed too ordinary. "I won't let you down, senior brother Jiang," Chu Chuan said firmly. Jiang Hao nodded and then asked Chu Chuan to get ready. 7 days later, Chu Chuan found Jiang Hao again. "Are you leaving the mountain?" "Yes." "Take these with you." Jiang Hao handed over a storage treasure. Inside were a primordial spirit sword, a primordial spirit protective artifact, 10,000 spirit stones, various pills, 5 concealment talismans, 5 hidden heaven secrets hidden talismans, and 2,000 miles teleportation talismans. The teleportation artifact he had received from junior sister Ning Shuang was also inside. Chu Chuan was incredulous. He didn't know the grades of these items, but he was aware that they were far from ordinary. "Senior brother Jiang, the journey won't be easy. Just take it." Chu Chuan accepted the things humbly. When he left, it was Xiao Li and the spirit beast who saw him off. He stepped out of the sect's main gate. He looked back and saw Xiao Li waving to him, while Lord Beast reminded him to remember its name. It would make his journey easier. Chu Chuan looked at them. He didn't know when he would return. The days at the sect had been his happiest, but eventually one had to grow up. "Wait for me. I will definitely come back better than this." Chapter 807. Gue. Am about to reach the west, Chu Chuan left. He embarked on his quest. Jiang Hao stood on the mountaintop and watched him leave. Maybe they would never meet again. In the future, he might also leave this place. Xiao Li and the spirit beast would leave at some point too. The 4 regions were so vast that they might not meet each other again. Even if they were determined to search for one another, it would be almost impossible to find their location. As time passed, the matters of the Heavenly Notes sect would also fade away. Perhaps one day, they would look back and think of them as childhood friends. But maybe they might not remember their faces or even their names. The time they spent might be forgotten. Even if they had the ability to return, they might choose not to. However, it was different for Chu Jie. Chu Chuan's destination on this trip was the Bright Moon sect. He would never forget Chu Jie. Whether Chu Jie would remember him or not, that was an entirely different matter. In any case, these were the things that Chu Chuan needed to face, and his future would depend on his own fate. It's a long journey to the east. In many places, insufficient cultivation makes it impossible to cross. If he really reaches the east one day, I wonder what level of cultivation he will have. Jiang Hao sighed and turned back. In mid-September, the peach tree had already borne fruit. After a while, it would be ready for another incarnation. During this incarnation, he would be able to obtain another purple bubble. Unfortunately, he had obtained only 1 purple bubble so far. Getting another one wouldn't grant any divine abilities. However, he was close. After another 3 years, he would be able to obtain another divine ability. That wasn't too long. Before, he couldn't get a single divine ability for over a decade, but now, he was getting several in a dozen years. He had to learn to be content with it. For over half a year, he had been waiting for another gathering. He didn't know when it would start. Many things hadn't been discussed yet, so he was quite concerned. During that period, the end of all things had planned a lot. He didn't know what the Old Man Corpse Sea would do when he emerged. He also didn't know how the Fallen Immortal clan was doing, but they might be making some progress. Jiang Hao felt the need to improve faster. While others were making progress, he couldn't afford to sit and do nothing. His talisman-making job had been delayed for a long time. He couldn't make better talismans. It hindered his progress. So, he spent more time on spells and divine abilities. He couldn't calm his mental state as he wanted. If his state of mind improved too quickly, he might lose sight of what was important and make some dangerous decisions. During that period, Haiming didn't come by. He also didn't know if Feng Hua was still planning something, but he was okay with it. He only worried when he was close to his goals. That was when the enemy would strike. He had to find someone to delay the others. When he returned home, Xiao Li and the spirit beast looked defeated. Chuchuan's departure had made them feel sad. They were fine a few days ago because they were always together. They had suddenly lost a member of their group. They had never expected Chuchuan to leave. However, this feeling only lasted for half a day. When it was time for a meal, Xiaoli took the spirit beast and ran to the cafeteria. Half a month later, they were wondering if Chuchuan would bring gifts when he returned. Around early October, Jiang Hao finally received the news of the upcoming gathering. I wonder how things are going with Zhang. In half a year, Dole's affair should have been handled. He felt that Dole had more bad luck than good on this path, as he was being eyed by various major sections. Besides, Dole was only at the Golden Core realm. A situation such as this was difficult even for someone like Jiang Hao. He lived carefully and cautiously to avoid such a life. He constantly grew stronger so that he could deal with such situations. By being stronger than them, he wouldn't have to bow to them and accept his fate. Jiang Hao waited for midnight. When it was time, Jiang Hao entered the hall and noticed that Zhang looked a little odd. Two conflicting auras were emanating from her. One was extremely chaotic, while the other was transcendently detached. She was in a poor state. The others, including Xing, were also surprised by Zhang's condition. They thought of a possibility. Zhang might have been preparing to ascend to the immortal ascension platform, but was invaded by her inner demon. It seems friend Zhang has many cultivation problems today. Dan Yuan smiled. Jiang Hao and the others looked at Zhang and waited for her to speak. At that moment, Zhang seemed to be in a daze as she looked up at Senior Dan Yuan. How can I overcome the inner demon? Dan Yuan nodded slightly and smiled. The inner demon is the flip side of your state of mind. It's another you. The best way to suppress it is to face it, understand it, and finally conquer it. The method is profound and incomprehensible. However, there is a simpler method, the immortal will. You have to reach for that and expand it to suppress your demon. The method requires you to confront the demon directly. Jiang Hao was amazed. Normally, once someone entered seclusion, communication would be impossible. Zhang was facing her inner demon, yet she was able to communicate through the stone tablet. Moreover, they had Senior Dan Yuan here. With his help, maybe her process would be easier. They were unsure what the price for this information would be. Such help was invaluable. Zhang wanted to speak, but Dan Yuan said, "This is also a problem with your cultivation. I can help you with more explanation, young friend." Free of charge, Jiang Hao was shocked. This was an incredible opportunity. At that moment, Dan Yuan slowly began explaining the immortal will. Although Jiang Hao listened intently, he couldn't understand it entirely. This was not something a cultivator like him could understand. Even Xing and the others only grasped a fraction of it. Only Zhang gained many insights into it. After a long while, Dan Yuan stopped speaking. This can help you resist the inner demon better. Whether you can bloom within the inner demon ultimately depends on yourself. Zhang thanked him. Dan Yuan looked at the others. No one spoke. Do we have any news about the sage's page? Dan Yuan asked. I received some information. It seems to be in the west, but I don't know about the exact location. There's a good chance it might be near wherever the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment is, said Xing. It might indeed be in the west. I heard that the master of the Heavenly Tower is also headed that way, said Liu. Jiang Hao suddenly remembered what Gu Jin had mentioned. Some individuals from the Astronomical Academy also went to find the ancient pages to establish their own sect. The master of the Heavenly Tower might have had a similar idea. All these reasons made them feel like the ancient pages were probably in the west. Dan Yuan nodded. Did you find any more information? They shook their heads. Dan Yuan told them that he would confirm it soon enough. With no further questions, they began their transactions. I've obtained the ancient and modern book, and am about to reach the west. It's quite far from the Academy's location. I also met Wu Yang and discussed matters with him. He wanted to leave, so I helped him, said Gue. She felt like she had gained a lot from this trip. Chapter 808. Gue, danger should be in the south, right? Gue completed her task and waited for her reward. What do you need? Liu asked. The task hadn't been something big, so the reward wouldn't be great either. As for releasing someone from the lawless tower, Gui did it willingly. Her deal with Wu Yang wasn't part of this transaction. I want news about the Heavenly Estira tribe. Gui looked at Zhang. Zhang Hao was surprised. Why did Gui suddenly want information about the Heavenly Spirit tribe? It wasn't so surprising when he thought about it carefully. Last time, she had asked for the heaven-bestowed cultivation technique. So, her asking for the Heavenly Spirit tribe this time was reasonable. Both Zhang and Lu also felt the same. Zhang told her that if she succeeded in her ordeal, she would help Gui find some information about the tribe. Then, Zhang looked at Jing awkwardly. Your person is still alive. Zhang Hao nodded. It was lucky that Dole was still alive. Zhang should focus on her advancement. A failed transaction was just that. It was no big deal. But a failed advancement could mean certain death. Everyone here did what they felt was right after weighing the gains and losses. There were no more transactions after that. Everyone began discussing the events happening around them. I met Shang in, and I could feel a kind of ethereal energy around him. He is truly amazing. It was the first time I saw an immortal like him. In the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, I gained many insights, said Xing. Gui looked at him worriedly. Friend Xing, is it your turn soon? Xing shook his head and sighed. That kind of opportunity might take 10 or 100 years. It's impossible to explain. Jiang Hao lowered his head and wondered whether he should wait for an opportunity too. I asked the questions you wanted, said Xing. He looked at Gui, Shang, and said that if someone encountered the opportunity he created but failed to ascend, then there is no need to worry. There will definitely be another chance. It is up to fate. Gui was quite pleased. Xing then looked at Lu. To your question, Shang said, the world in my eyes is the same as the world in your eyes. We are all the same, and if we feel differently, it's probably because of how we had to live our lives. Lu nodded. He was lost in thought. Xing then looked at Zhang. I asked him what you wanted. He said, if someone wanted to kill me, I wouldn't forgive them. Similarly, if I killed someone, I wouldn't seek their forgiveness. Zhang fell in a deep thought. Jiang Hao looked at Zhang and felt odd. Was she thinking of what was good and evil for herself? Did she want an answer from the wise? While waiting, she had fallen into her inner demon. Nothing much happened in the south, but I saw many people from the overseas Shangwan family. They seem to be looking for someone important. Some people from the Great Thousand God sect are still present, said Gui. I asked some members from the Great Thousand God sect. They said they aren't planning to enter the southern region for a while. Apart from the incidents in the south, I feel like they're up to something big. They're still in conflict with the Shangwan family. I'm not sure why. Also, the Great Thousand God sect is also fighting within itself. It seems it's a clash between different authority figures. The Great Thousand God sect wasn't united. Just like the 12 branches of the Heavenly Notes sect, it was entirely normal for them to fight each other. If different sectors within the law enforcement hall could fight among themselves, it was entirely possible for a sect to be divided. Jiang Hao could fully understand this. Although these things happened in the south, they had nothing to do with him. It couldn't affect him. Lu thought for a moment. Lately, there has been something strange in the abyssal sea. It seems some kind of light appeared there, but I'm not sure why. Some say that something is about to emerge from there, but it's still uncertain what it could be. Light? Gui asked. The Xinyuan sword has been shining lately. I don't know why. It's been shining since I left, and I heard it's still shining. They think that the Grand Earth Emperor might be coming out of seclusion. The immortal seed of the fallen immortal clan is about to bloom, said Jiang Hao in a low voice. Everyone was stunned. Immortal seed is about to bloom? Gui asked in disbelief. Jiang Hao nodded. The fallen immortal clan is formidable. They created the Nine Nether. If they're doing something, it's not surprising that the Xinyuan sword is reacting to it, Lu said. Are they planning to become immortals again? It was very likely. Apart from Xing, it seemed that no one present had issues with the fallen immortal clan. Regardless, they needed to pay attention to such matters. Is the fallen immortal clan overseas or in the west? Lately, a Dead Sea has appeared overseas and is affecting everything. That must be the fallen immortal clan's doing, said Lu. It must be the Old Man Corpse Sea, Jiang Hao said. Old Man Corpse Sea? made a deal with the end of all things. They would help him leave the corpse realm in exchange for awakening a corpse. Everyone felt alarmed. When did all this happen? They had no knowledge of this whatsoever. And who is this old man corpse see? Is he from the divine corpse sect? Dan Yuan asked with a smile. Jiang Hao nodded. You are correct as always, senior. Everyone was puzzled. What's the deal with awakening a corpse? Asked Gui. Everyone knew about the end of all things. They wanted the world and all the living beings destroyed. Awakening a corpse would be extremely dangerous. It's a corpse that seeks resurrection. Once awakened, it will consume the vitality of living beings in its quest for revival and bring calamity to all living creatures on Earth, Jiang Hao said. He wanted to inform these people. He hoped Gui would continue asking more questions. Sure enough, she did. So, this corpse must be in the south, right? Everyone knew by now that all dangerous entities resided in the south. However, Jing shook his head. It's in the west. Gui was stunned. The west? Why would it be in the west? She wondered if she was just unlucky. Why did danger follow everywhere she went? Zhang didn't ask anything. She seemed to have no energy. Both Lu and Xing were curious. This information had significant implications. The West has immortal sections. Dangerous matters should be handled by the immortal sects, Dan Yuan said with a smile. Gui nodded. She decided to find a way to send a message to the Astronomical Academy. This wave, if there were dankers, there would be others to deal with them. Jiang Hao remained silent. He had said what needed to be said. It was up to these people to handle the rest. As for the West, he didn't want to go there. It was too risky. Whether it was about the ancient pages or the end of all things, everything seemed to be brewing in the West. Since the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment was in the West, the end of all things must have been planning this all along. Chapter 809. Cannot shirk the responsibility of the mines, Jiang Hao said all he wanted to say. Old man corpse, see, might have left the corpse realm. The end of all things was waiting for the corpse to awaken. The immortal seed of the fallen immortal clan was about to bloom. The first issue wasn't too important, but the other two were likely to cause some commotion. It was necessary to let everyone know and then let them handle the problems. That would be beneficial for everyone. After learning about the situation, Gui seemed rather numb. She felt like she had even greater darkness awaiting her. Perhaps it was a mistake to leave. Some other matters were also discussed during the gathering. Lu mentioned Qi Tian. He stated that he had been gaining favor from Heavenly King Taomu. His influence was growing stronger. His reputation was soaring. With the help of the Heavenly King, his cultivation was advancing rapidly. Jiang Hao couldn't help but sigh at Qi Tian's opportunities. While others faced the sect's opposition, they had long since withdrawn into a corner and faded away. On the contrary, he not only avenged his family, but also gained the recognition of an influential figure. And now, his name resounded throughout the world. Now, it was just a matter of breaking away from Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao didn't need to ask to know that Qi Tian would be making preparations to deal with him. Lu also mentioned that Mi Lingyue and Mu Longyu had some disputes. After the disagreement, Mi Lingyue disappeared overseas. Gui was very interested in that. She mentioned something about someone in the Lawless Tower. They were still speculating about what happened between the two people and why the Heavenly Notes sect had arrested someone again. Jiang Hao listened intently. After all, the reason Mi Lingyue entered the Lawless Tower was essentially because of him. Mi Lingyue really wanted to break away from the Great Thousand God sect. The Great Thousand God sect had a remarkable means of control, but their true intentions weren't clear. Heavenly King Hai Luo seemed to know something, but wouldn't talk. It had nothing to do with him anyway. It was better to avoid getting involved if possible. As long as it didn't affect him, he was fine with it. The gathering ended. Jiang Hao returned to his house and took out a notebook to record everything. The sage's pages were likely in the west, since the master of Heavenly Tower was also heading that way. Zhang was about to advance, but for that, she needed to overcome her inner demon. Dole's condition was uncertain. He had informed them that the fallen immortal clan's immortal seed was about to bloom and that the corpse in the west was about to be awakened, but he hadn't told them that it could happen in Sea Sky Forest. Jiang Hao didn't note down the matter of Qi Tian, Mi Lingyue, the Abyssal Sea, and the overseas Shangwan family. These were all unimportant matters. He didn't write down about Qi Tian especially because he wanted to be able to tell Hong Yuye in person. He didn't want it to seem like he hadn't done anything. After putting away the book, Jiang Hao meditated. Since he had reached the Immortal Ascension platform, his understanding of realms had also increased. He was flipping cultivation books. Jiang Hao was willing to take out the Blood Vow Path book to review it. The more he understood about these things, the better prepared he would be when facing such formidable enemies. If he was able to launch a surprise attack, he wouldn't have to worry about confronting his enemy head-on. In the early morning, Jiang Hao walked into the courtyard and gazed at the heavenly fragrance Dao flower. "Beast, wake up," said Xiaoli from the outside. She peeked in from the doorway to check if Jiang Hao was around. "Why are you being so loud and sneaky?" Jiang Hao sighed but didn't say it aloud. "Senior brother Jiang," Xiaoli tiptoed in. Then, she glanced at the peach tree. "Go ahead and pick some," Jiang Hao said. Xiaoli came early in the morning to pluck the peaches because they were ripening. She also noticed the pleasant fragrance in the courtyard. She liked the fragrance when it lingered on her. That way, she smelled good since she tended to wander around the sect and get her clothes stained, which smell bad sometimes. "Thank you, senior brother Jiang." Xiaoli came under the tree to start picking peaches. She plucked the smallest one for Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao took a bite and then used his half-moon blade to lift the spirit beast. Xiaoli held the peaches in her hands. "Senior brother Jiang, do you think the beast dreams of eating peaches?" "Perhaps," Jiang Hao said indifferently. "Then, would the beast leave a few for me?" Xiaoli asked again. "Will you leave any for it?" Jiang Hao asked in return. "I will. The beast likes eating carrots, and I always feed it carrots," she said. "I am afraid it can't handle meat, so I always help it to finish them." Jiang Hao was quite surprised, but didn't say anything. Jiang Hao headed to the spirit herb garden. He saw Mu Qi and Miao Tingli in there. He handed over the spirit beast to Xiaoli. He went over to greet them. "Senior brother, senior sister, greetings." Mu Qi nodded with a smile. "I came to talk to you about something, junior brother Jiang. I feel a bit embarrassed to bring it up." Jiang Hao felt puzzled and instinctively looked at Miao Tingli in concern. Before, it was only her pestering him. Had Mu Qi joined her too? "We're not here to find you a partner," Miao Tinglian said. Jiang Hao breathed a sigh of relief. Miao Tinglian said disapprovingly, "Junior brother Jiang, I do still feel like you lack a partner. I found someone just right for you." Unfortunately, she was snatched away by another sect. A golden core realm cultivator at such a young age should have a partner. Jiang Hao didn't pay much attention to Miao Tinglian's words, but looked at Mu Qi and asked about the matter. "The sect has assigned me a task. It isn't a big deal, but Miao Tinglian has been a bit unwell lately. She might not be able to handle some things," said Mu Qi, and hesitated. "So, I wanted to ask if you were free." Jiang Hao didn't hesitate. "What task is it?" "Senior brother Mu. My task was to guard the outskirts of the mines before, but now I'm being asked to investigate inside the mines. I could occasionally visit the mines and make sure it was all right before, but to investigate the inside of the mines, I would have to stay there longer," said Mu Qi. "Senior sister Miao Tinglian's health requires your attention. That should be your priority. Leave the job to me, senior brother Mu." "I won't let you down," said Jiang Hao firmly. "Well, entering the mines has its own risks. My job as a team leader is quite a stressful one, so it will be the same for you," said Mu Qi. Jiang Hao just earnestly said, "I'll do my best. Please don't worry." The ones accompanying me would have been in the early or middle stages of the Golden Core realm. I think you can handle them. But, just to be safe, don't venture in too deep. Even if the task fails, I'm willing to take the punishment. "Don't put yourself in danger," said Mu Qi. "We can also give you some good stuff so that you won't feel like we're exploiting you," Miao Tinglian said. "Please don't find me a new partner." Jiang Hao didn't say that out loud. He couldn't pass up such a good opportunity. Mu Qi and Miao Tinglian were always very kind to him. He was curious about Miao Tinglian's health. Jiang Hao glanced over and didn't notice any signs of weakness. But she sensed something peculiar. In an instant, he thought of the Heavenly Saint sect. Miao Tinglian was one of the saintest candidates for the Heavenly Saint sect. Because of such a status, the Heavenly Saint sect wouldn't let her off easily. After hesitating for a moment, he decided to appraise her. If he couldn't sense what was wrong with her even with his current cultivation realm, it must be something extraordinary. Chapter 8:10. The person most likely to become the charm goddess Miao Tinglian was a very eager person. She was so eager and enthusiastic about everything that Jiang Hao sometimes wanted to avoid meeting her. Over the years, she kept introducing potential partners to him. He always feared she would bring someone to meet him. He didn't want that to happen. However, she never meant him any harm. That put his mind at ease. He activated his daily appraisal to see what was wrong. Miao Tinglian, one of the saintest candidates of the Heavenly Saint sect. At the late stage of the Golden Core realm, she joined the Heavenly Note sect and betrayed the Heavenly Saint sect to become an inner sect disciple of the Cliff of Broken Hearts. The Holy Master of the Heavenly Saint sect is showing signs of a revival. An avatar will appear soon and will need a saintess to refine his divine soul. Being marked, she's being watched by the main avatar. There are signs of its approach. The divine soul can nourish the mountain sea seal. Most of the information wasn't surprising for Jiang Hao. However, the last part was astonishing. Nourish the mountain sea seal? The mountain sea seal could be nourished. That was incredible. Using the soul for nourishment was surprising. If it could make the mountain sea seal stronger, that would be great. However, it was unclear how to catch this divine soul. The mission starts in about 2 months, so you don't need to rush, Junior Brother Jiang. Use the time to prepare well, Mu Qi said. Jiang Hao nodded. Actually, he was already prepared. He could even go now if needed. The only thing that would delay him was the incarnation of the immortal peach tree. There was nothing comparable to mining. The only thing he was concerned about was acting as the team leader. After having achieved the Golden Core realm, he always had to lead a group. Before, he would only follow instructions and do his part. Jiang Hao glanced at Miao Tinglian and felt that the main body of the Holy Master was about to arrive. Should I inform the Master? Senior Brother's strength might not be enough to stop it. However, the Cliff Master would have no problem dealing with the Divine Soul. Although Jiang Hao's strength was decent, it was still far inferior to the Cliff Master. He didn't know how to inform him, so he could only wait and see. As for nourishing the mountain sea seal, Jiang Hao decided to leave the mountain sea seal around the spirit herb garden. If he went to the mine, they would naturally have to take care of the garden. So, leaving the seal here would at least alert him when the divine soul arrived. If it didn't work, he would find a way to inform the Cliff Master or Lu Xingchen. He could also have the spirit beast on alert so that it could inform Shaoli. Shaoli's involvement would make the Cliff Master curious. After all, the most important thing for Shaoli was to be healthy. 2 months later, around early December, Jiang Hao stood in front of the immortal peach tree. These 2 months had been calm, but the Candlelight Pill Pavilion had given him a list of top-grade spirit herbs to plant. It was a total of 100 herbs. It was a considerable quantity, but he declined. He was about to head to the mines, so he couldn't stay here and tend to the spirit herbs. He explained everything truthfully so that the disciples wouldn't feel offended by his refusal. As an apology, he gave them a few talismans. He hadn't been selling talismans recently, but he still had quite a few left. He could give them away to avoid trouble. It was strange when people did the same to him. Indeed, he was different from before. In a few days, they'll be going to the mines. Jiang Hao sighed. He was going to leave just when the immortal peach tree would be ready for an incarnation. After it succeeded, he could go. The timing was just right. He appraised the tree. Immortal peach tree. It is related to the ancient divine tree, the immortal peach tree. It has a trace of the divine tree's traits, and the fruits it bears are sweet and fragrant. Leaving one fruit on the tree and setting up a spirit gathering array with 49, spirit stones in the vicinity can activate a trace of the divine trait and trigger an incarnation. After 3 successful incarnations, it will become a divine tree. Placing it near divine items increases the possibility of successful incarnation. Less than 50,000, Jiang Hao breathed a sigh of relief. The amount of spirit stones had increased, but not by much. It was uncertain how much it would be the next time. It could be a lot more. After all, it was the last 3 incarnations. But for him, it was a minor issue now. Before, he had 280,000 spirit stones. He had given 10,000 to Chu Chuan, so now he was left with 270,000 spirit stones. If he used up 50,000, he would be left with 220,000. Even if he bought another pack of September Spring, he would still have 180,000. He couldn't spend it all, no matter how he looked at it. After dealing with the incarnation of the immortal peach tree and the matters in the mines, he could return to the spirit herb garden and plant the high-grade herbs. He spent nearly 50,000 spirit stones, and the incarnation was finally triggered. The spirit beast watched it in astonishment. The fire on the peach tree burned all night. It watched as the peach tree was reduced to ashes. Early the next morning, Jiang Hao found a seed in the ashes. It was full of vitality. He appraised it. Immortal peach tree seed is a seed from the core of the divine tree. It possesses a trace of the divine trait. After it takes root and grows, it will bear fruit. It will turn into a fully divine tree after 2 incarnations. Water it with fresh water every day, and it will sprout in 2 days. It'll sprout in 2 days and will turn into a divine tree after 2 incarnations. I wonder what the divine tree will be like. Jiang Hao looked at the seed in anticipation. In 6 years, he would have a divine tree in his courtyard. At that time, it would surely give him more bubbles. 6 years wasn't too long. The future was promising. 2 days later, Jiang Hao walked into the courtyard. He sighed in relief as he looked at the purple bubble. Divine ability fragment, +1. He only had to obtain 1 more. Perhaps in the next 3 years. He was concerned. After the final incarnation, what kind of bubbles would he get? For something like the immortal peach tree, it was highly likely that he would get a golden bubble. When he obtained a purple gold bubble before, he had gotten the Hongmeng Heart Sutra. He didn't know what it would be this time. Jiang Hao couldn't think of anything else that could compare to the Hongmeng Heart Sutra. The next day, Jiang Hao headed to the law enforcement hall after buying some tea. He was supposed to meet the others there for the task. This time, he decided to suggest splitting into 2 groups. He could mine while the others explored. They needed to choose another team leader. He had thought of it. He only needed a little time to appoint someone capable. Jiang Hao waited for the others. There were 5 people in total, including him. 2 were from the Heavenly Joy Pavilion, and 2 others were from the Ice Moon Valley. Among those from the Heavenly Joy Pavilion, there was a man and a woman. The man looked refined and composed. The woman was dressed in black. She had a red mark on her face that resembled a lotus. Overall, she looked ordinary. However, she made him feel strange. She looked sort of bloated. However, when he looked at her carefully, he realized that she was very beautiful. Jiang Hao understood her issue. She had a charm body with impediments. It was like a curse. Her charm body was covered by hindrances. Jiang Hao realized that this person had a high possibility of becoming a charm goddess. Chapter 811. Being too rude might get you killed. I'm Li Min of the Heavenly Joy Pavilion, said the woman in black. I'm Wei Zhixiang from the Heavenly Joy Pavilion, said the handsome young man. I've heard quite a lot about you, junior brother. Jiang Hao looked at them and addressed them as seniors. Li Min was in the middle stage of the Golden Core realm. When she spoke, Jiang Hao could sense a resentment toward him. Wei Zhixiang was at the later stage of the Golden Core realm. He seemed to have just advanced. He was friendly when he spoke. Something's odd. If it's about senior sister Yin Ruo, it shouldn't matter to Li Min, so why is she hostile to me? Jiang Hao was puzzled. Junior brother Jiang, you're quite famous in the sect lately, said Wei Zhixiang. Jiang Hao lowered his head humbly. Senior brother, you're too kind. I just got lucky. After a while, two more people arrived, a man and a woman. A middle-stage golden core realm cultivator leading the team. The woman dressed in green turned up her nose at him. You look just ordinary. How can we trust you? Jiang Hao smiled and said politely, if it bothers you, senior sister, you can always raise questions about my decision, and we can all agree. He was fine with that. This was the best way to deal with those who looked down on him. He could also choose a new team leader in this way. Being a team leader was exhausting. It required taking care of his team members as much as possible. It always restricted his freedom. That's more like it, she said and nodded. With her was a man at the early stage of the Golden Core realm who stood silently by her side. Among them, he had the lowest cultivation realm. The woman from the Ice Moon Valley was Lu Xian. She was in the middle stage of the Golden Core realm. The man was Hai Yun. The one with the highest cultivation was Wei Zhixiang from the Heavenly Joy Pavilion. After a while, the five arrived at the mines. Jiang Hao had replaced Mu Qi's spot as one of the supervisors. There was no need to meet the other seniors there, and they could enter the mine. They headed to the area where no one else was there. Upon arrival, they found that there were others inside. Just like them, 5 people were gathered into groups. There were 2 groups in total. All were in the middle to late stages of the Golden Core realm. The team leaders were at the peak of the Golden Core realm or the early stage of the Primordial Spirit realm. There were 3 women and 2 men on the left. Their team leader was a woman. There was a group of another 3 men and 2 women on the right. Their team leader was a man. Jiang Hao was surprised. There seemed to be more people than expected. At that moment, there was only one path ahead, and it seemed they were discussing who should enter first. We arrived first. Why are you stopping us from going in? Said one of the women in the late stage of the Golden Core realm. Her team leader was at the early stage of the Primordial Spirit realm, so she didn't need to fear anyone. You arrived first? Said a man and frowned. Didn't you see our people at the entrance when you arrived? We saw the entrance from afar. Is there any problem with us entering first? No one has said anything. Why are you stopping us? Asked a woman at the late stage of the Golden Core realm. Are you all blind? Didn't you see the entrance? The man asked. If you didn't see us here first, then you must be blind, said the woman. Let's say you're right for argument's sake. Why would that be a problem in letting us in? Then, why didn't you let us in first since you saw us here? That's ridiculous. You won't let us in, so why should we let you in? It should have been us first. Jiang Hao and the other 4 remained silent and watched them argue. Finally, the man, at the peak of the Golden Core realm, stepped aside. It should have been this way from the beginning. Everyone else has nothing to say. It's just you who has a problem. Yet, you claim to have no issues with it now, said the woman coldly. After that, her group entered the mines, followed by the man's team. Jiang Hao waited for a while before entering. He could see it clearly. The man at the peak of the Golden Core realm had concealed his cultivation realm. He had already advanced to the early stage of the Primordial Spirit realm. He wondered if the remaining people would have a problem too. The next day, Jiang Hao's group found an underground river inside. The flow of water was quite astonishing. After a quick look around, they found a corpse by the shore. The body was of the woman who was arguing yesterday. Jiang Hao sighed. It was better to lie low and just be polite. It was less dangerous that way. The Heavenly Note sect was not a good place. Jiang Hao sneakily glanced at the 4 people in this group. He noticed their grim expressions. The dead woman was at the late stage of the Golden Core realm. The strongest among their group of 5 was also at the late stage of the Golden Core realm. How did she die? Li Min asked. Wei Zhixiang walked over to the body and examined it briefly. He found out that she was stabbed to death. Murdered, everyone knew who might have killed her. It must have been one of the 5 people from before. Jiang Hao didn't say anything and continued walking forward. Aren't they afraid of being discovered by the sect? Lu Xian asked indignantly. She didn't dare to speak too loudly. She suddenly felt that this place seemed much more dangerous than she had expected. Haiyan followed behind quietly. The sect doesn't care about this place, Wei Zhixiang said. The group fell silent. Jiang Hao followed the river downstream. He remembered that there was lava in the mine before. Why was there an underground river now? After a while, they arrived at a wide opening. The river flowed down like a waterfall from there. They couldn't make out how deep the water was. "We need to go down and take a look," Wei Zhixiang said. "There's no other path here," Lu Xian said. The others agreed to explore further down. Soon after, the four of them looked at Jiang Hao. "I think we should split up," Jiang Hao said. "With our strength, we can't take the usual route. So, I think we need to make a new path away from the others." "Make a new path?" Lu Xian sneered. "And how are we going to do that?" Jiang Hao looked at the huge platform. He then came to a corner of the wall and patted it. "This place looks like it can be dug through. We can make a cave here and follow through. Finding a mining vein is also good." "A mine?" Wei Zhixiang frowned. "Are we going to mine here?" Jiang Hao shook his head. "No, they'll do it." The four were puzzled and a bit skeptical. "We could treat this as our base. I will dig and search for mining veins. Seniors, if any of you face danger while exploring below, you can retreat and converge here so that we can discuss further. If you find something useful, then it will be yours." Everyone thought about it. It was a bit strange. Staying here to mine was quite dangerous because there might be many monsters in the mining veins. There were usually monsters lurking in mines discovered for the first time. There was another problem. Which normal Golden Core Realm cultivator would run here just to mine? At that moment, Li Min said, "I think that is reasonable. He'll stay here and mine with junior brother Jiang." Chapter 812. I wanted to kill Yu Jiang Hao sighed when he heard that senior sister Li Min wanted to stay. He had wanted to stay here alone and mine while they went off to explore. That way, they could choose a new leader. However, now that they were split into 2 or 3 groups, the team couldn't go too far. They couldn't elect a new leader for the group. "I can try and explore." Wei Zhixiang nodded. "Then, the 3 of us will go down and take a look. You two can mine here," said Lu Xian. She never thought someone would stay and dig. It was baffling, but she didn't care. After confirming the location, the 3 of them went down the waterfall to explore. On the empty platform, only Jiang Hao and Li Min of the Heavenly Joy Pavilion were left. Jiang Hao looked at her and frowned. She was in the middle stage of the Golden Core Realm and didn't seem to like him much. It was very likely that she might suddenly attack. Such people were the most bothersome. "How do you plan to start digging, junior brother?" Li Min suddenly asked. Jiang Hao brought out his pickaxe and walked to the stone wall. He sensed it and then tapped it with his palm. Then, he used the pickaxe to dig. The rocks here were very solid. If they blasted the place, it looked suspicious. So, he could only use his pickaxe to dig little by little. He wasn't sure if there were ores here, but he wanted to find a place to mine quietly since he was already here. He was surprised to see that while he mined, Li Min also used a magic treasure to dig. This wasn't a big deal, but Jiang Hao could sense her resentment. He felt helpless. She might be planning something against him. After a long time, Jiang Hao sat down to rest and deliberately gave her a chance to act. At that moment, he could clearly sense that Li Min was staring at him and had activated the magic treasure in her hand. Jiang Hao was still sitting with his eyes closed. He was just waiting for her to make a move. However, she did nothing. He turned around and continued mining. Jiang Hao looked over curiously and saw senior sister Li Min burying herself in the mine. After a moment, he took a break again. The next day, he continued to mine. This time, senior sister Li Min was the one taking a break. She lowered her head and seemed lost in thought. After a while, she suddenly said, "Junior brother Jiang, do you still remember junior sister Yin Ruo?" Jiang Hao was taken aback. He put his pickaxe down. "I do." Senior sister Yin Ruo was the cause of all his troubles in the beginning. Because of Yin Ruo, he was targeted by many people and was even sent to the law enforcement hall. That was when he was put on the suspect list and was barred from venturing outside the sect. Many people from the Heavenly Joy Pavilion and the Pavilion Master hated him for it. It got to the point that he could have been murdered at the Heavenly Joy Pavilion if he wasn't careful. They had tried to do it on his trip to Devil's Denver. He would have been killed long ago if he wasn't careful. More than 10 years had passed since the incident, but it seemed the matter was still not over. The people from the Sunset Immortal sect had not let him off easily either. The The pavilion master of the Heavenly Joy Pavilion was the same. His advancement to higher realms had been disturbed because of that, so he couldn't let it go. Although senior sister Yin Ruo hadn't been able to cause him direct harm, she had affected his life in many ways. Junior brother, have you ever regretted killing her? Li Min asked. Jiang Hao didn't answer the question. Li Min didn't seem to expect an answer. Because of junior sister Yin Ruo's death, many people's lives have changed, especially our branch. What do you mean, senior sister? Jiang Hao asked. He did not understand what she wanted to do. When I was young, my master brought me up the mountain. He valued me very much, and it seemed he needed me, Li Min whispered. Master was very good to me. I had never met such a kind person since I was a child. But when I was 16, my body changed. Master no longer looked at me with that kind of expectation. There was only disappointment and disdain. Jiang Hao lowered his head. The pavilion master of Heavenly Joy Pavilion needed a charm body to advance. However, since her charm body was interrupted by her anomaly, she was useless to him. Master no longer pays attention to me. No, but does he look at me anymore? Li Min said. But I have hope. I might be just one of Master's many disciples, but Master is everything to me. You killed senior sister Yin Ruo, and the Master was furious. I hate you too. You ruined everything for the Master. Li Min stared at Jiang Hao. I want to kill you. Then, why didn't you do it when you had the chance? Jiang Hao asked. Li Min lowered her head and fell silent for a long while. I was in the middle stage of the Golden Core realm, and you were in the early stage of the Foundation Establishment realm at that time. I'm still where I was, but you're already at the middle stage of the Golden Core realm. Such speed, such talent. Maybe it's because of the blood wish path like the others say. Whatever it might be, I can't compare to you. I imo that if I make a move, I won't be your match. I don't want to die yet. Jiang Hao was a little surprised. So, that was why she didn't make a move. Do you know why the pavilion master valued you? He asked. I know. It's because of the charm body. But the master needs someone who has successfully mastered the charm body for his advancement. I thought I could be the one, but I wasn't. It was junior sister Yin Ruo he wanted. Li Min laughed bitterly. I wanted to do something for my master, but I realized that I can't do anything. When junior sister Yin Ruo died, I was a little happy. I felt like she had stolen the master for herself, and she was finally dead. Jiang Hao frowned. He couldn't understand the thoughts of the person in front of him. However, everyone had their own story. He wasn't the right person to judge her. He just didn't understand why she was opening up to him. Master still won't look at me, said Li Min, and turned to look at Jiang Hao. He still looks so disappointed every day. It's all your fault. She looked at him with resentment. Jiang Hao lowered his head helplessly. I know you want to kill me to avoid trouble in the future. Isn't that true? Li Min suddenly asked. Jiang Hao had actually thought about it. However, he now thought of another way. It would be better for both of them. Boom! While Jiang Hao was thinking, the river suddenly surged. Immediately after, someone retreated. It was a woman dressed in blue. Jiang Hao realized that she was the woman from the first team that was led by an early-stage primordial spirit realm cultivator. Please help me, she said when she saw them. A huge tree branch was chasing after her. Please save me. I'm willing to pay spirit stones, she said. Jiang Hao moved. The branch was not that strong. The source of the magic might be too far away. If it was struck with a strong force, it might retreat. He used the first form of the heavenly blade, moon slaying. Boom! Moonlight flashed. The tree branch shrank back, just as Jiang Hao had guessed. Senior sister, are you all right? He stood before the blue-robed woman. What are you waiting for? Hurry and help me up, she said. Do you want spirit stones? Chapter 813. Didn't you intend to kill her, junior brother? Jiang Hao looked at her. He didn't expect her to use that tone with him after he had helped her out. She was so rude that Jiang Hao thought she must have only survived in the Heavenly Note sect because she had been living in hiding. An aura suddenly appeared behind him. Then, a figure flashed past him. At that moment, the woman on the ground looked furious. Before she could do anything, a sword slashed across her neck. Her blood splattered all over the ground. The blue-robed woman was stunned. She felt her vision go blurry. She didn't even know what had happened. Why did I end up like this? Jiang Hao stood in place and turned to look at senior sister Li Min in surprise. Why had she suddenly attacked the blue-robed woman? Li Min picked up the blue-robed woman's storage treasure and handed it to Jiang Hao. When he didn't accept it, she looked at him. Junior brother Jiang, weren't you waiting to kill her and take her spirit stones? Jiang Hao was silent. He never had that intention. However, he reached out to take the storage treasure. He discovered that the storage treasure contained only a bit of spirit stones. It was more than 700 in total. During advancement, Golden Core Realm and beyond took a lot of spirit stones. People in those realms needed pills, which cost a lot of spirit stones. Magical treasures also cost a lot of spirit stones. Only after reaching a certain stage would one be able to rely less on spirit stones. Before that, disciples usually had to save a lot of spirit stones to be able to advance to higher realms. He kept the spirit stones and gave the rest of the things to Li Min. She accepted it without any hesitation, but she looked at the things as though they didn't belong to her. Perhaps she thinks it'll kill her and snatch her things away. Jiang Hao walked away and continued to mine. They hadn't been able to find any mineral veins, so he hadn't earned even one bubble in 2 days. If he mined without obtaining even one bubble, it would be such a disappointment. Li Min looked at Jiang Hao and frowned. She didn't understand why he wasn't trying to get rid of her. Jiang Hao just continued digging. The magical branch just now had been a little strange. This place wasn't as peaceful and safe as he had expected. 5 days passed that way. Jiang Hao still hadn't found any ores. The rocks here were getting tougher, and the consumption of spiritual energy was much higher than expected. He felt that this place was somewhat strange. It is no wonder this place didn't fall even when other sects joined hands to attack it. The Black Heaven sect had joined hands with other sects to attack the mines in the Heavenly Notes sect to find some treasure in this place. At that time, they had gained a lot, but the mines had remained intact. There were many secrets in this place. Those people had only scratched the tip of the iceberg. The closer Jiang Hao got to it, the more he felt that even the power of the Immortal Ascension platform wasn't enough to shake this place. He now understood how terrifying the mines were. Jiang Hao was still thinking of a way to find a mineral vein when a person suddenly flew up from the waterfall. Something has happened. It was Hai Yun. He was the weakest among the group. He was only at the early stage of the Golden Core Realm. Jiang Hao saw that he was injured in many places. It felt like a tree branch had tried to strangle him. What happened? He asked as he put away the pickaxe. Hai Yun was surprised to see the pickaxe. He thought this person had come prepared. The seniors, he stammered. Something happened to them. I only managed to escape because I was too far away. What exactly happened? Jiang Hao asked. As the leader, he would have to take care of such things. There was no other way. On the path of cultivation, everyone had to be responsible for their own actions. Danger could come at any time. If he couldn't avoid it, he would only fall. Everyone understood this, but not many people accepted it. We saw a large tree below. The tree seemed to pierce the mountain. It was difficult to climb to higher areas. We observed it from afar. We thought about going around it, but the tree suddenly started attacking us. The seniors are trapped there, and they can't escape, said Hai Yun. Does the tree have fruits? Jiang Hao asked. No. Hai Yun shook his head. Jiang Hao looked at him and nodded. He appraised him. Hai Yun, inner sect disciple of the Ice Moon Valley of the Heavenly Notes sect. He has great talent and is in the early stage of the Golden Core Realm. He knows that you're quite strong, so he wants to lure you down to open the way. While 4 people fight and find a way, he intends to pluck the fruit from the tree. Jiang Hao wasn't surprised by it. Many people in the demonic sects were like this, so there was nothing to worry about. Even the immortal sects had quite a few cunning people among them. However, he had to go down and look before deciding to save the others. There were no ores here, so there was nothing to gain by staying there. Perhaps there was a mineral vein below. Let's go and take a look. Jiang Hao walked forward. Li Min glanced at Hai Yun and hesitated for a moment before following him. Thank you, seniors, Hai Yun said gratefully. They went down. Jiang Hao was vigilant of his surroundings. He looked at the river. The deeper he went, the more eerie the river became. It seemed to be gradually losing its vivacity and meandering deeper. After a while, he landed on the ground and saw that the river had turned black. When he looked up, he saw that the entire waterfall was black. When we first came down, we discovered this. Although the water looks like that, there was no other problem, said Hai Yun. Jiang Hao looked at it for a while and didn't say anything. Although it looked black, it wasn't the Black Sea from the corpse realm. It's just ahead. Hai Yun led the way. After a while, the black water began to gather into a lake. On the other side of the lake, there was a huge tree that reached into the mountains. There was a forest under the tree. The seniors are trapped in the forest, said Hai Yun. Jiang Hao walked to the forest and frowned. It was a curse. He activated the Heaven Lock technique. The towering tree changed. It was as though endless curses had blended together and taken root in this place. He couldn't go up the tree, at least not in his current state. Where are they? Jiang Hao asked. Hai Yun led the way. He walked all the way inside the forest. Jiang Hao followed him in. He saw signs of struggle. Lu Xian and Wei Zixiang's feet were bound by ivy and roots. They only managed to block or dodge the tree branches that attacked them. There was also the aura of the curse on their bodies. Their skin was affected, and their cultivation realms were declining. The two of them regretted being greedy. They shouldn't have come here just for the fruit. They would end up dead in this place because of their foolishness. At that moment, they heard someone approach. They turned and realized it was Jiang Hao and Li Min Hai Yun, who was at the back, had stopped in his tracks. Don't close to this area, Wei Zhixiang shouted. If you get close, ITLL bind you. The aura is strange here. Wait here. Li Min stopped. Jiang Hao continued to walk forward. Wait here. Pull them out when the time comes. Li Min was surprised. Wei Zhixiang was anxious. He didn't know why Jiang Hao didn't listen to him. He would die in vain. It wasn't like he would be able to save them from this. It was already too late to stop him. Jiang Hao had entered the range of attack. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.